I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs spoon. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Rock bottom make a man and some pressure make a gemstone. Try to put $1 to my name like Creflo. Naja boy, late to the game, it's in the blood flow. And I'm from the south, it's thick skin and tough bone. Big attitude through big lips with gusto. Trust no kings, that's why they tried to crush souls. But it's IGBO, when the dust blow, this old head be standing there. No silver, just gold. Crack no books on the hustle, I was born to grind. Yo, scared of your potential, I'm adorned with mine. 30 times around the sun, man, of course I shine. My legacy will not dwarf with time. And in my daughter's eyes, it's basic, I must not say quit. Every day sees a present like a Rob St. Nick. Walk a fine line between tenacious and patient. I can't slip, I'm fighting clocks and they can't win.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Ooh, that soldier in the mirror, oh oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Impeccably I flow, hardest raps you know, breaking status quo, reaping what I sow, artistry like Van Gogh. Get it from my mama hip, so thick that I need tempo. Personality spicy, body banging like a bongo. Cause black women been it since Timbuktu, since Pharaoh. Sponge rollers and hot combs, lips, cheeks and brow bones. If you ain't for the culture, then please stay out of my zone. These little dummy rappers could never grace my headphones. See, I'm from a place in space where ain't no storytelling, you just had to have been there. If you want the battle, ain't no problem, say where. I got so much experience, I can't even play fair. But I'ma keep evolving and growing and hurting feelings and showing you need endurance to go in. I got mileage on this pen, I've been busy cause I've been out here schooling all these kids. Took 3 decades to have this glow up that I did.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Ooh, that soldier in the mirror, oh oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. Turn all of my
you guys were checking shoes last night to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture of these could be his shoes, or is that so he is presumed to be barefoot at this point?
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant.
Judgment, Aslı.
Oi, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh, you wanna get sued?
Judgment, Aslı.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a running.
For what?
But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie's time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love it when he does that.
Let's watch.
Don't get me back to good bullshit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. And it's so good to see all of you guys today. Thank you all so much for being here. I have a very interesting and terrifying show planned today. I don't know how many have heard of or have watched Mr. Black. He has a true crime channel and he does mostly interrogations. But I wanted to review today because I kind of stumbled upon an interrogation that fits in with what we're going to be talking about in Sebastian Rogers' case, because I think, in my opinion, they dropped the ball big time in the beginning. And I want to go back all the way to the beginning and see if we've missed anything in the case. I just want to say hi to everyone that's in here. Thanks for being here, Day Crew. Good to see you guys. Hey, Busy Mama. Good to see you. And Chuchi, thank you for being here, Chuchi. I hope you got some good rest last night. Also, Sasha is here, and sorry, I don't want to double up. And Cinderella, good to see you guys. And let's see, Peggy Cook is here. Hey, Peggy. And Mama, thank you so much for gifting a Lady Freedom's Raw Narratives membership. And if you got a membership from Mama, please say thank you and welcome to the Dragon Tribe. And I think it was actually, because I thought I saw in chat, I think Peggy might have got the Lady Freedom's Raw Narratives membership. So that's awesome, Peggy. Welcome to the Dragon Tribe. You guys know we're all Dragon Tribe, all 3,000 of us, and counting. We have a little more than 3,000, but it was a big milestone for me to hit that number, and I was really proud of us for getting our numbers up that way. Always am. We pick up a few subscribers here and there every day, which I think is a good trajectory. I'm not in the red by any means, but I'd like to grow the channel more, and we've been talking about that as well a lot lately, Chuchi and I, and then just kind of bringing people in behind the scenes to help with Discord and things like that. Just a whole lot of growth in the near future. And Shadow, so good to see you. Hey, Catherine, good to have you here. Veronica B, hey, girl, good to see you. So today I wanted to bring up a couple of things. One is going to be a post that I shared from Smiley. Now, again, this ties into what we were going to talk about today. And I'm sorry, I put my lives up probably 30 minutes to an hour before I go live, just because, I kind of like to keep things where people don't really know what I'm going to be talking about. I know that sounds weird, but I like to surprise you guys from time to time. Sometimes I'll repost something and say, let's review this, but most of the time I like to kind of keep it, uh, I don't know, just as we go, because sometimes I'll be thinking about a certain topic, but other things tie into it. And that's kind of what happened today, because I was looking through, scrolling through the streets, and I shared this post. I shared a couple of posts. Actually, I do want to also tell you guys about a missing girl in the area. So let's start there really quick. Of Arizona, Las Vegas. So really quick, let's do that. This mom seems beside herself. So please share missing since March 3rd, 2026. Her name is Shady Eshelman. And I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly, but that's how it appears here. I am living every mother's worst nightmare. My daughter, Shady Eshelman, has been missing since March 3rd, and I don't know where she is, if she is safe or if she's scared and needs me. So heartbreaking, guys. I cannot sleep. I cannot think. Every minute that passes feels like a lifetime without her. This is not normal. She left with no money, and she has no working phone. She has not contacted anyone. A mother knows her child, and in my heart, I know something is very wrong. I'm begging you, please don't scroll past this. Please share her photo. Say her name. Help me make sure the world is looking for her. Okay, so this is a mother's plea. This is a real mom. I'm sorry, but this is her daughter. And I did post the flyer as well. So she is 30 years old, last seen between 5:30 and 6 p.m. on March 3rd, 2026 in Las Vegas, Nevada, around the Mojave Tropicana area. I'm not familiar, but please share this, guys. She stands 5'2", weighs 130 pounds, with blue eyes and brown hair. She wore a dark colored pants and a black hoodie, black shoes, and had a large light brown purse when she was last seen. Okay, guys. So I'm not sure the details on this case, but please share it out and just keep her in your thoughts and prayers. If you see her, please call law enforcement, right? And that kind of is going to lead me into the next thing I wanted to share today. Um, so when it comes to leads in Sebastian Rogers' case, it does appear, and it has appeared for a while, that the leads are not being followed up by on law enforcement's end. I don't know if that appear, if that is true or if it just appears that way, um, or if maybe they have more information. But here's what I wanted to share here from Smiley. And I'll read it off to you guys. Hey, Ann Reynolds, good to see you. Hey, Lisa King, welcome in, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Holly, I know. I mean, that's a mother's plea, right? I mean, yeah, my heart goes out to that mother, and I'm just hoping that her daughter's somewhere safe. Hey, Pamela, good to see you guys. Thanks for coming in. Okay, so when it comes to Sebastian's leads, I appreciate when people will send things over if they're trying to get a hold of Seth in terms of if they want Seth to see it. Because I myself, if I have any leads, anything I've ever had, um, I've sent it everywhere, right? FBI has a $50,000 reward out for Sebastian Rogers right now. Still active for Sebastian. I'll drop his flyer so you guys could share it out. And I know many of you do that follow me. But we always, again, have new people in here all the time. So here's Sebastian's flyer. He is absolutely 100% being looked for by the FBI, right? He's on the most wanted list, right? It's wanted, kidnapped is in the description, or excuse me, in the link directly. So that tells us that the FBI believes that Sebastian has been kidnapped, in my opinion. So with that being said, I would just urge you guys to make sure that that's where you're sending leads to. Send them to the TBI, send them to Sheriff Craddick, send them to everyone. Now, this is the issue with people sending them in, and I think people have the best of intentions here. The majority of people, all right, I'll say that. Some people is like they're just trying to stir things up. They do want to make money off the situation. They do want to show it all, and I'm the first one to show it, and right. And really what it is we're comparing to see if that is Sebastian Rogers or not. I can't imagine what Seth feels like every time there's a lead that comes through. There's a couple things that I wanted to talk to you guys about when it comes to these face comparisons and AI images of Sebastian that are out there in thumbnails, etc. And again, I believe truly that these people have the best intentions in mind, right? So I'm not trying to out anybody or say like, how dare you do this, right? Because I believe this person that I'm referring to, that I've had recent interactions, but this is across the board. From the beginning of, when I started going live, people would send me information about Sebastian, and I would try to forward all of this stuff over to anyone. It's not up to me to figure out whether it's legitimate or not, right? If somebody says, could you please send this to Seth for me, I will give them wearesebastiansarmy@gmail.com, right? Or I'll just forward it over, right, really quick, because it's easy that way. But when we see an AI thumbnail of Sebastian Rogers, and then we're trying to do an AI comparison with Sebastian Rogers' real photo, and then the photo of the person that we're thinking is Sebastian, there's a lot of holes in that research, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong there. Again, if you see Sebastian, or if you think that you have a sighting of Sebastian, please call the FBI. please send it to them immediately. I mean, no question. Don't send it to a creator. No matter how many times a creator wants to pretend that they're working with the FBI, they're not. None of us are. None of us are. Right? Because if we give them a lead, we're just a tipster. Right? We're a tipster and we're calling in just like a Crime Stoppers or anything else, and we're saying, "Hey, this is what I saw. This is who I saw today. I saw, say, the park that I live in. There's people coming and going all the time. What if Sebastian was in the park, right? Say I think I see Sebastian in the park. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call the authorities, take a picture, and say, Sebastian, is that you? I mean, those are the things that you do right off the bat. Don't even think about it. Call 911. Don't be like Chris and Katie Proudfoot. Do the right thing. Call 911 immediately, right? If you feel like nothing's being done and you want to send it over to Seth for just because you want to make sure he has that, then by all means do that. That's up to you. That's what I do. I send it. If I have something and I saw Sebastian, I'd be sending it everywhere, right? I wouldn't be putting it out there because if I'm thinking it's Sebastian, I'm thinking he's a 17-year-old kid, right? That's who I'm looking for. I'm looking for Sebastian Rogers, a 17-year-old autistic teen. You can't tell if someone's autistic by looking at them, right? So I have to look at Sebastian's facial features. And also, if you think you see Sebastian at Walmart or anywhere for that matter, hey, Andrea, hey, my PTSD, you call the authorities. You say, hey, Sebastian, is that you? Are you Sebastian Rogers? Your parents have been looking for you. Hello? I mean, maybe you don't want to scare him with the whole parents thing, because I mean, if Chris Proudfoot was looking for me, which he has in the past, I'd be worried, right? So maybe don't scare him. But here's the thing, guys. It's so very, very important, and I think that Smiley is saying some good things here. So I don't care who you trust, who you like, who Seth likes, who Chris likes, who Katie likes, who I like, who trusts or likes who, right? I'm like that too. Look, here's the thing. We're trying to identify what happened to Sebastian. So I think that we're all capable of trying to come up with good theories, right? That we can speak on and we can talk about. And I think it's important to share information out. But I really want to keep it about Sebastian. And I think that's the hardest part for us, right? So if you have, or if you have or think you have information or a tip on Sebastian, alive or not, call in. I suggest call all the numbers: TBI, Sumner County, FBI, missing and exploited children. Google it or look on any of the Sebastian Rogers flyers. No excuses. We can't, guys. Look, this is a serious matter. I don't know how many more times I have to tell everybody Sebastian is not a cartoon. That's why I can't stand the AI. I don't use AI. I use Sebastian's image of him, right? One of the ones that's out there on the flyer. I have my favorite ones, but I also think that, the older ones are going to be more of a depiction of Sebastian, right? So the 4 that are on the missing flyer are the ones to look at. That's what Sebastian looks most like. That's what he looks like, and he's going to be a little bit older, right? His hair was darkening, so his hair might be a little darker. We don't know. He might have gained weight. Something like that is going to make Sebastian look a little different. He might have gotten taller. Do not wait. Do not send the tips to the creators. Not me, not Mob Crew, not Justin, not Lady Freedom. I'll put myself right damn in there. We are not the law. What do you all think we're going to do about it, right? We can't. And the thing is, guys, is that my email is not a tip line or a priority for me. I hate to say that, but yeah, I mean, please, if you want to get a hold of me, you'd like to come on the show, you'd like to talk, you'd like to tell your story, let's absolutely do it. But none of us are above or working with law enforcement, right? We might send them tips, yes. Devlin Tate's case, I've sent law enforcement more tips on that case than any, right, that I've ever talked about on the show. That doesn't mean that I'm working with law enforcement. So let's be mindful of that, please, right? Do not wait. This is a big one. Please do not wait. Do not send the tips to the creators, not me or anybody. Excuse me. Sorry, I should have said, I'm going to repeat myself. Not Lady Freedom. We're not the law. So we're going to do the same thing that you guys, should do. And we're going to do it as soon as we can, right? But then again, we're losing time, right? So the best thing for you to do is to get it out there, right? And people are using Sebastian's content for money, in my opinion. They're banking and raking in the dough with misinformation. That's fine. That's on them. That's what they want to do on their channel. I don't want to do it on mine. We won't be doing that. So I wrote, this is a real issue and it's horrible for Sebastian's case. Do the right thing. Send it to all law enforcement if you think you have a tip of any kind. I also send information about Sebastian's case directly to Seth. So he's aware, right? And I think that's the responsible, kind thing to do. So I would really urge you guys to do that. And again, Sebastian is on the most wanted list for FBI. He sure is. He sure is. I know it's so hard. My PTSD. I mean, it's just a sad thing, um, and the thing is that we just need to be mindful that we could see Sebastian out there somewhere. We don't know what has happened, and we also need to be doing searches for Sebastian. We absolutely have to do searches for Sebastian. If we don't continue to search for him, then we're never going to find him. And I think that law enforcement is waiting for someone else to find him. That is the only conclusion that I can come up with when they told us that they're looking for one more clue. Read between the lines, right? And then they are waiting to find Sebastian because they're not actively searching for him. Period. That's what they're telling me. So here's the thing. We don't know what a lead or a tip is going to be. They do in certain ways. Now, I'm not putting all of my trust in law enforcement in Sebastian's case. I cannot and will not. So, with that being said, I think they dropped the ball in the beginning. Guys, if you're not subbed up to One Crime TV with Mr. Black, these are all of his videos that he has done. He does interrogations and all kinds of different videos, really well put together. That's why I wanted to go over this one today. So absolutely. And mods, if you guys could help me out and please just drop his link in the chat. I would greatly appreciate that. So one crime, true many, right? Sharks in the water. We are going to examine this case that happened out of Macon, Georgia. That's why it's called Macon Monsters, right? And I want to show you some of these tactics and some of the ways that it connects to the patterns in true crime in general, right? As it pertains to any of our cases. Thank you, Chuchi. They do a great job over here. So there's also some research within the video, kind of like how I put in like just little tidbits of information. We might go over it, but they do it kind of in a video form. I don't think they go live. I haven't watched their lives at least But either way, definitely go sub up. Awesome content. But it's going to break it down, and we're going to see how people lie, why a person would lie, or why they would be truthful about a situation. This is absolutely packed with knowledge, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. So here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and play this through because I think he's got some music in the beginning. All right, so diving in.
In late 2012, staff at a Macon, Georgia law firm known as Calder Pinkston became alarmed when 58-year-old legal secretary Gail Spencer didn't show up for work on October 5th. Gail had been working at the practice for over a decade, looking after multiple employees and managing affairs in the bustling office. She was a single, hardworking woman, well known for her dedication to her professional career. Gail handled virtually all of Calder Pinkston's financial transfers. In fact, she was held in such high regard at the company that she was permitted to move large sums of the firm's money without even needing authorization from upper management. At a real estate firm like Calder Pinkston, that's a massive responsibility, one indicative of the trust the practice held for her. Gail Spencer was also rarely tardy from work, let alone absent. But absence met with radio silence was simply unprecedented in her long history at the law firm. With Gail nowhere to be found, her colleague and fellow legal secretary, 38-year-old Tracy Jones, filled in for the missing woman, assuming Gail's role at Calder Pinkston for the day. She was even granted access to the computer where Gail handles the firm's financial accounts. Tracy Jones had only been employed at the business for a year, during which time her and Gail certainly had their differences. Differences mainly stemming from the fact that Tracy was disorganized and often failed to show up for work on time. The contrast of professional ethics between the two rubbed Gail the wrong way. The following early morning at around 2 a.m. on October 6th, Ken Dalton and his wife returned home to find their dog Camo outside barking wildly. His neighbor, Gail Spencer, knowing the couple wouldn't be home until late, had agreed to let Camo back inside their house that evening. Trusting Gail's good, reliable nature, the Daltons immediately sensed that something was off about the situation. Their concerns peaked upon noticing the lights were still on inside Gail's house.
Okay, guys, so they kind of set it up in terms of telling us the story, and then we're going to see the interrogation, right? So this is all a dramatization, but it's really smart to do it this way, and it does intrigue the audience because I was listening and I'm like, oh my gosh, this poor woman, poor Gail. It reminded me a lot about Nancy Guthrie's case, right? Where all of a sudden this older lady is living in her home and she's just a hard worker, a sweet person, what have you. You know, there's not a direct comparison really, but it's just an older lady. Who would hurt an older lady in her own home, right? So they're setting up this relationship because we are going to see some of these characters, people, real life people, being interrogated by Georgia's finest.
Unable to make contact with her, Ken called the police and requested a welfare check. After arriving at the residence, police make entry to the house, where they find Gail Spencer dead in her bedroom with a plastic bag over her head. The medical examiner later found that she had been suffocated and intimately violated in a humiliating way. Her sister is quoted as saying that the murderer left Gail without her dignity. Just one day later, on October 7th, police were tipped off by a letter they received from someone calling themselves Dustin. Dustin claimed a friend of his had offered to let him in on a plan to murder an older woman, steal a large sum of money, and then flee the country. Dustin claimed his friend's name was Brett Kelly. Around this same time, Calder Pinkston receives a call about missing money from an escrow account relating to a real estate deal that the firm's about to close. The missing finances total roughly to the tune of about $1 million. Gail Spencer has been murdered, Calder Pinkston is in a panic, and Tracy Jones has stopped answering calls. But with both the company and the banks closed for the long Columbus Day weekend, there's not much that can be done immediately. While Calder Pinkston tries to locate the lost money, and find its now second missing legal secretary, Tracy Jones, the police desperately search for the aforementioned Brett Kelly to question him regarding the death of Gail Spencer, only to find out that Brett had just recently applied for his passport. But when authorities are finally able to locate Tracy Jones, they realize that what happened to Gail Spencer was just the tip of the iceberg.
I don't know what happened to her. She was fine when I left. That's all I know.
Okay, guys, so this is where we meet the liar, Tracy, right? And she very much reminds me of a lot of the same mannerisms of Katie Proudfoot, in my opinion. Now, it's not just like when Katie's doing her Southern Belle thing, routine and everything. No, not that. I mean, the way that Katie thinks that she can charm people into believing her by doing like the little funny, and all of that kind of charming little behavior that we see that we don't typically see in a mother who is missing their child, right? Like I just read the post in the beginning of a mother who was desperate to find her child. And we don't see that. What we see is a liar. And I want you guys to pay attention to that element alone. Pretty please.
They realized that what happened to Gail Spencer was just the tip of the iceberg.
I don't know what happened to her. She was fine when I left. That's all I know.
You are there at Gail's house that morning. Gail is getting ready, you said, to go to work. Gail doesn't show up to work.
And we all thought that was weird.
58-year-old Gail Spencer was found dead in her home on Stinsonville Road Saturday morning. Her body was found after firefighters responded to a welfare check.
Spencer's death was a result of, quote, suffocating at her home. Investigators say when Spencer's body was found at this home, there were no signs of forced entry and her car wasn't there. 41 NBC first showed you this video last night of a silver Acura being pulled from the church parking lot. I spoke with police today who confirmed the car belonged to Spencer. Spencer's body was found with no visible injuries. She was discovered after neighbors noticed suspicious activity and called police for a welfare check.
Since we were not sure, we went ahead and started an investigation like we usually do. Treat it as a homicide until we get the autopsy results back. We got the autopsy results yesterday morning, and it was ruled as a homicide.
Neighbors I spoke with declined to go on camera, but they described Spencer as a sweet person who loved animals and was devoted to her job.
Before this interview, the detectives had already spoken to Tracy Jones once about the murder of her coworker, Gail Spencer. But this is Tracy's first interview where she's questioned in a way that's conducive to her being a suspect in the matter. Initially, she's left alone in the interrogation room for 25 minutes before anyone greets her. This room might look somewhat familiar if you recall the Lauren Giddings case from 2011. And that's because it is in fact the same room where murder suspect Stephen McDaniel was interviewed roughly a year prior to Gail's murder. Stephen was later convicted of killing, intimately violating, and dismembering Lauren Giddings in the very same town where Gail Spencer's body was discovered.
I mean, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you heard it? Had you seen anything there? Had you seen?
Okay, guys, so I don't know if many of you remember this case or this guy's reaction, because at first I thought he was like the double rainbow guy, right? Where he's like, oh, he's like melted or something, or actively on some sort of substance. But he was absolutely part of the whole murder of this young woman, right? And again, we're going to see this detective in action. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this case. Again, 2011, this guy McDaniel, but we're going to see the interrogator who interrogated him later on in the review here. And Lisa King, it's so good to see you. Hey, good to see you. I'm waiting on Miss Ann to tell me. Okay, Macon, is it Macon or Macon? Oh gosh. County now, and when I was in Michigan I lived in Macomb. Okay, oh see, I think I said Macomb in the beginning, didn't I? So it's more like Macon, Georgia. I'm just impressed with this police work, right? And, this is interesting because, again, it kind of coincides with a couple different cases. And it just, again, shows the patterns in true crime that we need to be identifying and keen to in order to figure out what these liars are even doing, right? Getting in the mind of these monsters. And that's what's, I guess, the most important thing other than going all the way back. And Mama, thank you so much. Oh, well, and see, I'm telling you, he seemed like he was on something, but I think he was in shock, or maybe coupled with, I mean, I'm not sure 100%, but he absolutely was involved and, carried out this heinous crime.
Anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's how we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
Lauren and Stephen were both law students at Mercer Law University. The fact that both of these cases involve victims and suspects in the legal field is nothing more than a mere coincidence. But the victorious conviction of Stephen McDaniel, and the fact that it largely stemmed from his disturbing interview in that very same room, likely has investigators riding high on a confidence boost. You'll probably pick up on that occasionally throughout the interview. At times, it possibly may even toe the line of minor boundary issues. Nothing major, but certainly things you would expect to see less of during police interviews almost 15 years later into the present.
Okay, and again, this was a while back when this all occurred, but I think it's interesting to go back and see. And, in my opinion, with the severity and how heinous this crime actually was, and the fact that we are going to get full confessions by the end of it, spoiler alert, but we are, I think that the end justifies the means, right? Because as he's saying, you are going to see the detectives kind of get in a little bit of personal space, but then also they're going to get them to stop lying at a certain point and start being honest. So it's tough, right? So yeah, he's a good narrator, Sasha. I enjoy the voice. I think it might be more of like an AI generated voice, maybe, but I don't know. He's very good at doing the narration. And my PTSD, thank you so much for sending a super chat. Aw, that's so sweet of you. She says, thank you, Lady Freedom mods in chat. I truly appreciate all of you. Aw, that's so sweet. Well, we appreciate you too, and your love to help these amazing kids, adults that need help. Thank you. Yeah, I know. Well, some of them are just like younger kids, right, that are just still kids. Thank you, my PTSD. That's so sweet. Thank you, thank you. Yes, Mrs. Thornton. I mean, all of it, just the fact that it's mostly people that right? People who have access. We're always looking for means, motive, opportunity. So, of course, opportunity comes in. And this is a very intricate web of many people being involved. Now, I will say, as it compares to Sebastian Rogers' case, in my opinion, Katie couldn't have done this on her own, right? So a lot of this is going to tie in with kind of a group perhaps carrying out some sort of crime. Whether they have done something and put Sebastian in a school or something to that effect. So we'll see. Yeah, well, and Miss Ann, I think it's not a bad thing. It's very tough. Miss Ann says Georgia is very, 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 very strict state on all kinds of stuff, missing children and everything. Yeah, because this older lady, I mean, she absolutely did not deserve to have her dignity stolen from her at the end of her life when she has little grandchildren and she is a mother, grandmother, sister, just all of that. It's very, very sad. And she never deserved it. So if they get in these monsters' personal space I'm never going to fault them for that and say, oh, well, they were a little too hard on them. Well, they got the confession. They got a full confession out of all of them. It's so interesting. You guys are going to really find it interesting, I think, too. Yeah, very great narration too. And I was just, I think there was another one that we might have reviewed. Maybe Brittany Gosney or parts of it from the same creator, but great creator.
Hey, Tracy.
Hey, why don't you take me back?
How are you doing today?
I'm okay, I'm tired.
You tired?
Yeah.
Why are you tired?
We got so much work at work.
Uh-huh.
It's driving me crazy. It's
Is it?
stressful. Yeah.
Stressful?
It's very stressful.
How you been sleeping?
I sleep. I have thyroid disease, so I sleep pretty good anyway.
She hadn't been sleeping very well. Okay. Well, I wanted to talk to you again about Friday morning, the 5th of October.
Okay.
Now, let's go over what happened with you that morning. Okay.
Okay.
Tell me everything from that starting. Okay.
When I got up.
When you got up, and let's go through the story.
Notice the moment Detective Shirley asks Tracy to recall, in detail, her actions on the last day her murdered coworker was seen alive. She immediately pulls her left leg into her chair and proceeds to hug it close to her body. Hugging oneself could be seen as a sign of self-soothing and may indicate nervous vulnerability. Tracy is likely trying to make herself feel safe. This
Okay, guys, and a lot of people in the Holly Thompson interview where we can see Katie's body language was saying that Katie was doing some self-soothing behaviors, right? Some of us looked at the rocking back and forth as quite ridiculous and redundant and overdone, and her best Meryl Streep, I think was what Pascal called it. We were all just kind of having different feelings about what we were seeing and also checking for genuine emotion in Katie. I think a lot of it was self-soothing behaviors and because of nervousness. I don't think they were because of grief. In the beginning, I was thinking it was because of grief because her son was missing. But then I didn't hear the Duchess for the Missing interview where Katie is literally fake crying because you can't see her because she's hiding behind an avatar. So again, when we see these behaviors, we know we're dealing with someone who is at the very least nervous. And this isn't just the beginning of the interview.
could also be a defensive measure and an attempt to place a shield between herself and what she perceives as a potential threat. The positioning of Tracy's chair, the detective's seat, and the door in the background are all significant features of this interview. Tracy is literally in a corner with nothing in between her and the man assertively asking her questions, but she is right next to a door that she's, so far, free to walk out of at any time. The detective can use all this to his advantage in order to change the dynamics of the interview whenever he feels like applying or releasing pressure.
All right, I got up and I realized.
Right, and what he's doing here is asking her in the beginning to go through her day, and she's going to start, but I just want to point that out, that he starts her out with, you tell me everything that's gone on today, right? Tell me from the very beginning. Again, she is free to leave. She has not been Mirandized. They have not read her rights. And now he can be still in the interview portion, right? It's not an interrogation yet, even though they already know the answers to the questions that they're asking her. Let's watch.
That, well, I realized the night before I didn't have any more war tabs.
Right.
Okay, and I remember my friend had told me that there was a guy over there. I might have been on the wrong road. I don't even know.
Who's your friend?
Brandy. She had told me that, you know, that she knew a guy. His name was Eric. He lived on Holly Mill something. She kind of gave me the directions. And so I said, all right, well, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go over there and see if the lights are on or something. I'll knock on the door and let him know I know her. So I got over there, and I'm like I said, I might have been on the wrong road. I don't know, but I chickened out. There was no lights on none of them houses on that road. So my car wasn't crank. So I walked up to Gail's because I knew Gail lived there. I was kind of scared she'd see me ride by and she'd be like, well, what are you doing over here? You know what I mean? So I knocked on the door. She came to the door. I said, Gail, can I have something to drink? My car broke down and I got to pee. I had to pee really bad.
Right.
She said, yeah. So we walked and she walked me into the bathroom.
All right, guys. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are sitting there going, okay, you had to go to the bathroom and you're super thirsty, right? You got to pee and you're really thirsty. Okay, that was a big red flag for me. I was like, wait a minute. Did she just say that she's got to pee and she's thirsty? And that's the reason why. And this poor lady was unsuspecting of this, obviously. And she knew her from work. I just can't let go the feeling of CP was home or came home and involved as in big time. Yeah, I believe Katie is self-soothing. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I think in the beginning, it was unsure, or I was unsure. But yeah, I just I think absolutely that Katie is 100% trying to stick to the same narrative and scripted, right? Like, I don't believe anything that they've told us in the beginning is true, except for what we can confirm that was on camera. But as soon as they got home, you lost me big time, and I'm not even convinced Sebastian made it home 100%. I can't say that. I believe KP self-soothing and was reliving the event and fear of not sticking to CP's narrative of events. It's really difficult to stick to a narrative of events, right? It's easy to tell the truth, but it's very difficult to lie. Our brains will tell on us all the time, right? They will. See, bad thing in KP and CP involved their rights taken away, and that's why we can't get this far. Shaking my head because the cops don't care enough to push it further or investigate properly. I know. Well, and that's the thing. I think it's a big red flag too, Mrs. Thornton, and I think that when we're looking at these types of interrogations where I believe, in my opinion, that the police collected all kinds of information and evidence in the beginning. I just don't know that they properly put that to work, right? Because they were operating under the assumption that Sebastian walked off. And now, again, the police are allowed to lie to us, as we're going to see in this interrogation. If they do it strategically, it can almost be, in my opinion, ethical in certain regards. Again, and I'm just speaking for the end justifies the means, because we do have guilty parties here. They have all been, convicted in this murder, and you'll see it's very much more involved. But yeah, I mean, just a lot of really great comparisons when it comes to the lies and the way that the body language will match up with what Katie was doing.
There was no toilet paper, and I had to holler, Gail, there's no toilet paper. So she just cracked the door and, kind of threw it in there to me. Well, I came out and I said, well, get me something to drink. She kind of stayed in her bedroom the whole time. And I got me something to drink, and I heard the door shut because I was at the sink. And so I hollered through the door. I said, Gail, I'm going to go try my car. If I don't come back, you'll know I got it. But if not, I'm going to have to come back. You might have to take me home so I can get ready to come to work. And
why'd you go over to Gail's?
I just told you that.
Why did you go over there?
Why? Mm-hmm. Because I was kind of scared she had saw me right by her or something, because I knew she was up, because she's told me she gets up early every morning.
Mm-hmm. So if you were scared that she saw you right by, why would you go over there?
Because I was scared she saw me. And then she'd be like, well, what are you doing over here? And I'm not going to say, okay. Oh, well, I'm over here trying to find some drugs.
All right. So anyway.
You know what I mean?
So you go back to your car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In my opinion, I believe that this person here royally messed up with her story. And we see that with Katie in the shoes, right? In Sebastian Rogers' case. So this is where she is not making any sense. No one is going to believe what she is saying. From this point on, the detective has got her, because her story is not adding up at all, right? It's just not adding up.
Continue.
Okay, I get back to my car and I try it and it cranks up, and so I go home. I get my son up I get him ready for school. I get ready. I take him to school, and I go straight to work.
Your son?
My 15-year-old.
Okay, 15-year-old. I thought you said you had two.
I do, but the 17-year-old don't go to school.
What's their names?
Scott and Dominic.
Scott and Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you get dressed, take them to school, and then what?
I went straight to work.
What time did you get to work?
About 8:30.
Okay. What kind of car were you driving?
My car.
Your car?
Mm-hmm.
And you have what?
Honda Civic.
Okay. What color?
Silver.
All right.
Detective Shirley likely knows the answer to some of the questions he's asking right now, such as how many kids Tracy has, their names, the model of her car, the color, and so on. But asking questions he knows the answer to helps him establish a baseline for how Tracy acts whenever she's telling the truth. This will in turn help him detect potential attempts at deception later on.
Okay, guys, so this is a great little IQ card, right? That has been brought up here, caseiq.com, and it says baseline questions. And so this is a lot how detectives are kind of human lie detectors in a way, right? But then also they could hook up to a lie detector and see what your physiological responses are to said questions while they've established a baseline. So baseline questions. The first task in any investigation interview is to ask the subject some basic non-threatening questions to which you already know the correct answers. This establishes a baseline for how they respond when telling the truth. And that's just like asking someone, what's your name? How many kids do you have? What's your son's ages? That's why he's asking her these questions rapid fire. And she's rapid fire with the answers right back at him as well. So some of the sample baselines are like, what's your address? How old are you? Right? Things that you know the answer to, they know the answer to, and it's just something easy because they know that you're being honest, and so they can see what you look like when you're being honest. And these are also established again before a polygraph test. How long have you worked at a company? XYZ. What is your position with the company? Right? These are all great questions.
It's true that studying body language behavior isn't a certified way to detect when someone is lying. Analyzing a cluster of markers over an extended period of time can help authorities expose soft spots in a potential facade. A facade is simply a deceptive outward appearance. It's not an indication of guilt, but breaking through it may well steer interrogators closer to the truth.
Was there anybody with you?
When?
So this is great, right? So again, I'm sure I could probably do a poll right now. Did Katie show a facade to any of us when we were listening to her story? I'm not talking about what she told the cops. We have no idea. We have no idea what she said besides maybe a small indication. But then again, Chris was involved in the 911, or excuse me, they didn't call 911. Chris was involved in the sheriff's call initially, and then information that was given to dispatch. We don't know if that was given by Katie, Chris, or both of them. We have no idea, right? We hear the dispatch audio. We've played it here at the channel, but we can't really decipher who's giving the information or what. So just something to think about. But we've seen Katie put on a facade with what she's told us, the public, many, many times. I could probably do hours and hours worth of video on Katie and Chris both in their facade. And again, it's not that I'm saying they're guilty, right? Because they are innocent until proven guilty, but a deceptive outward appearance, right? So if we look at whether we've seen a deceptive outward appearance by Chris, we could say, yes, we have. We've also seen his whole ass because he showed it. Same with Katie, in my opinion. She didn't know that she was the I own it Katie, but that was absolutely being recorded and then it was released. So we saw Katie, and then we also heard about Katie from Nina, and that she was Facebook Living their interaction of them harassing her, in my opinion, right? Her flawless public facade masked private despair, right? So when you act like you're one way, but really you're feeling a different way, it is a facade. Doesn't automatically mean you're guilty, but it's easier for the officers or even us looking in on the situation to understand that someone's being dishonest with this facade.
They'll steer interrogators closer to the truth.
Was there anybody with you
When
you went over to where Gail is?
No, nobody was with me.
Nobody was in the car? Did you ever use Gail's phone?
No, I did not use Gail's phone.
Okay. All right. What was wrong with your car?
I think the battery cable gets loose sometimes because it does it on me often.
Okay. So usually when it don't crank, the first thing you would do is check that battery cable, right?
That or just sit there for a little bit and it'll finally crank. I don't know why it does it, but I guess it needed tightening.
But that morning you decided not to sit there and wait or jiggle around with it. You just walked over to Gail's.
Yeah, I was nervous. I was scared because I never knew this guy. I'm not one to go buy drugs. I really didn't know what to do with myself. You know what I mean? So I said, well, I'm just going to walk over to Gail's. I was scared she'd saw me, give me something to drink. I was about to die of thirst and I had to pee really bad. So I said, I'll just walk up here. And I knew she had been sick. You know, she was sick Wednesday. I didn't get to see her Thursday at work.
What was she wearing? Was she in her pajamas?
No, I think she had on work clothes.
Like what?
I'll be honest, can't remember. It seems like it was like an orangey top or something like that. But no, she had work clothes on. I know it wasn't pajamas.
Okay.
And she told me, she said, well, I got to get ready. And she, like I said, she hauled back to her bedroom. It's like she didn't want to deal with me or something.
She got a glass of water, right?
Yeah, I got me a glass of water.
Okay. Was it a glass, a cup?
It was a green cup.
Green cup. Okay. So you can remember it was a green cup, but you can't remember what Gail was.
Yeah, but I guess because I looked at it. But like I said, because she came to the door and she hauled back to her bedroom.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you what I had on that morning.
Well, let's do this. Let me go ahead and let you know this, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right, really quick, I just want to point out what she said. She said, I'll go back because it's got captions on it. All right, so she says, like, what? I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest, right? And we talk a lot about that. And our friend, All That Is Unseen, always, we joke back and forth about it because it's something that we all say. But in this predicament, when people say it, they're about to lie. Most of the time, we've, seen a lot of that or, a heavy pattern of it in true crime.
Seems like it was like an orangey top or something like that. But no, she had work clothes on. I know it wasn't pajamas.
Okay.
And she told me, she said, well, I got to get ready. And she, like I said, she hauled back to her bedroom. It's like she didn't want to deal with me or something.
She got a glass of water, right?
Yeah, I got me a glass of water.
Okay. Was it a glass, a cup?
It was a green cup.
Green cup. Okay. So you can remember it was a green cup, but you can't remember what Gail was.
Yeah, but I guess because I looked at it. But like I said, because she came to the door and she hauled back to her bedroom.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you what I had on that morning.
Well, let's do this. Let me go ahead and let you know this, okay?
Okay.
All right. And I'm not trying to be rude or mean.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But I am going to be firm with you.
Okay.
All right, Tracy. The lower tab deal, going over there to Eric's and everything. All right. I've already confirmed that's a lie. That's a lie. Listen to me.
Okay.
All right, guys. And that's where she lost him, right? I mean, right away, he knew she was lying, especially her story's not adding up. I went over to buy some Lord tab from somebody, and then I turned around and I just went over to my coworker's house, who, by the way, they've done the autopsy on this poor woman and she has passed away. Absolutely. They know everything about what has happened to her because she told them. She told them. And they're about to say as well, now this is a long video where they're gathering this information, but it's really so interesting to see how it all unfolds. Again, he knew that she was lying right off the bat. He lost her. The first couple questions he asked her, after asking the not qualifying questions, but baseline questions, she automatically lies to him. Because we all know that she didn't have to pee and she wasn't really thirsty, and so she stopped over at Gail's house.
Listen, Tracy, I don't know if you have done gotten yourself. I don't know if you were involved in this from the beginning or if you got drug into it and didn't mean to. But your story about going over there to get drugs, I've already been talking to people that said no, it's a lie. Okay. And the fact that you knew where Gail lived at, no, that's a lie too. All right. So listen, the only thing you're going to do is make it harder on yourself. Okay. So let's stop the bullshitting. Do you want to help yourself or do you want to go deeper?
I'm not bullshitting. I don't know what happened to her. She was fine when I left. That's all I know. How would I have anything to do with what happened to her?
I also know that you weren't alone.
Yes,
Also-
I was alone.
No.
Yes,
Tracy.
I was
No.
alone. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Negative. You were not.
Okay.
If you're a long-term follower of channels like Jim Can't Swim, you'll likely recognize the read technique being used here. This is orchestrated in an interrogation when a detective asserts that he definitely knows a suspect did something or that he can prove their guilt, even when that may not actually be the case. Once the read technique is performed, the next step is often monitoring the suspect's response to the accusation. Both innocent and guilty people will likely display agitation, but when measured on a scale of 1 to 10, an innocent person will likely hit a 9 or a 10 and stay there. On the other hand, someone with a higher chance of being guilty will likely come in at about a 3 or 4 before quickly settling down into a quiet, attentive state in order to find out what the detective knows.
Okay, guys, so yes, I need the read technique used in the Sebastian Rogers case. We need this technique, right? Now, at this juncture, I do believe that Katie lawyered up. Hello, all that is unseen. Good to see you. And yeah, Chuchi says, listen, Linda, you're lying. Just come clean. You got yourself in a pickle, right? I mean, big time. They already know. You know, they already know what has happened. And I believe they are being a little too aggressive in the beginning, because even my PTSD says, yes, getting in my face will shut me down, right? And a lot of people are that way. A lot of people are not wanting to, get into a confrontation. One, when you're in a confrontation or a conversation or an interview or interrogation with law enforcement, it's uncomfortable for anyone, even if you're a law enforcement officer and fellow law enforcement officers are interrogating you or even questioning you, right? It's not a great position to be in. It's stressful. And then this read technique is interesting. So I don't know if it was ever used in the Sebastian Rogers case. I think it should have been a direct presentation of real and fictional evidence regarding the suspect's involvement in the alleged crime. Let's be honest, that's what we get. I mean, I don't know what law enforcement got, but that's what we got from Katie, was a direct presentation of real and fictional evidence, right? The real evidence is that Sebastian was at the Texas Roadhouse last seen. The real evidence is that they were over at BJ's for a little bit. The real evidence is that they stopped over at Dara's house, right? Because she says they stopped over at her house. And then her husband got in trouble because they were looking into her. So, yeah, that's what we get. So why can't law enforcement use this technique against them? Why can't they do what they're doing? In my opinion, it worked really, really well here. Our investigation shows that you did this, right? And it's psychologically, it's telling the person who's being interviewed, we already know the answers. So if you lie, you're going to come off as a liar. And we're not going to believe what you're saying, right? But there's other things that come along, right? This accusation followed by a pause during which the suspect's behavior is observed closely, right? So they're observing the responses as they go along with the questioning. Eventually, the interrogator will repeat the accusation. Suspects who issue no denial after the second direct confrontation are usually believed to be guilty. So this is really, really interesting. So if you ask the suspect 2 questions, right, and there's no denial after the second direct confrontation, most of the time, the person is proven to be guilty. And again, these people were found guilty, just so everybody knows. So, because I know Chris and Katie have not been even arrested or properly interrogated, in my opinion. These people, on the other hand, are serving a lot of time.
Person will likely hit a 9 or a 10 and stay there. On the other hand, someone with a higher chance of being guilty will likely come in at about a 3 or 4 before quickly settling down into a quiet, attentive state in order to find out what the detective knows.
Hey! You have kids?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You have a 15-year-old?
Yes, I do.
Right. And how old's your other?
17.
Okay. Do Your 15-year-old, right? He's still in school, still basically a baby, everything else, okay? You need to start thinking about him, okay?
I know that.
All right. So you need to start thinking about him. Now, are you going to keep lying to me or not?
I'm not lying. Why would I have anything to do with any
Tracy,
of this?
we know better. Tracy,
know better.
we know better.
Okay.
Okay. We know better. All right. We know things already. All right.
All right, guys, and this is a really kind of subtle way to use, or maybe even a more, I can't even say subtle, more of an aggressive probably way is a better way on the other end of the spectrum to describe it, right? Because he's just saying, we know things, right? He's not even saying from our investigation or we have evidence against you. He's like, stop right there. We know things. And she's going, no. And she's going, why? You know, and he is, giving her enough personal space, in my opinion. But if you see where his feet are placed and how he's kind of lunged forward a bit, right, and kind of at her, now she's back up, right, as far as she can be, in my opinion. Again, she's not under arrest.
Okay.
So now you're going to sit here and lie or not?
I mean, I'm not lying. I've told you everything.
All right. You didn't go over there to get no Lord tabs.
Yes, I did.
All right. All right. Who gave you the information?
My friend Brandy.
Brandy who? Okay. So if I talk to Brandy, is Brandy going to say, yeah, I told her?
I'm sure she will, but her husband don't know she takes Loratab, so I don't know.
Okay.
But she told me that. I don't have anything to do with none of this. And it's really...
This is another thing that you guys are going to see as we go along, is they're telling her, if I go to this person, are they going to tell me the same thing, right? So this is a technique that could have been used in Sebastian Rogers' case, putting all of the parents in different rooms. Again, that's Seth too, and he knows. He would rather that be the case than them not do their job properly, in my opinion. So that's everybody. Put the grandparents, whoever you need to, because again, we need to figure out what happened to this child. Unbelievable that none of this was used, in my opinion.
It's really breaking my heart that
unless, of course, Katie lawyered up.
I like Gail. I love Gail.
All right.
I don't know what happened to Gail, but I know that
she's dead.
I know she's dead,
Okay.
and you don't think that don't upset all of us?
All of us is in who?
Me and everybody at work.
Yeah.
It's driving us crazy.
Let's do this, Tracy, okay? Let's do this. Let's put it, all right, you are there at Gail's house that morning.
And right there, it's driving all of us crazy. All of us at work. It's driving all of us crazy. Who did we hear that from just recently? When Katie Proudfoot is describing how she feels about her son being missing in the 2-year interview, she doesn't say I, she says we, everyone, words like that. Again, very many similarities when we're dealing with a liar with a manufactured story.
Okay. So if I talk to Brandy, is Brandy going to say, yeah, I told her?
I'm sure she will, but her husband don't know she takes Loratab, so I don't know.
Okay.
But she told me that. I don't have anything to do with none of this. And it's really breaking my heart that I like Gail. I love Gail.
All right.
I don't know what happened to Gail, but I know that
she's dead.
I know she's dead, and you don't think that don't upset all of us?
All of us is in who?
Me and everybody at work.
Yeah.
It's driving us crazy.
Let's do this, Tracy, okay? Let's do this. Let's put it, all right, you are there at Gail's house that morning. Gail is getting ready, you said, to go to work.
It looked like she was to me.
Okay. Gail doesn't show up to work. All right.
And we all thought that was weird.
Okay. Then Saturday morning at 3:30 Saturday morning, she's found dead in her house, still with her work clothes on. You are the last person to see her alive.
That don't mean I had anything to do with it.
I don't know. You're the one.
I
You're going to have
didn't.
to convince me.
I know I didn't.
Why do you think I was telling you? I don't know if there's something that you got drug into.
I promise you, I'd have no. If I knew what happened to her, I would have came to you and told you, because I'm that type of person. I would have came down here and said, "This is what I think happened," or "This is." I don't know. It was just a coincidence.
Listen, I've got two different versions that you told about what happened. That you were taking a friend home.
And I told you why I told my work that.
All right. That doesn't make any sense.
I didn't want them to know I was over there looking for drugs.
You didn't have to tell them that.
Okay, well.
But it doesn't, see, let me put yourself in my shoes. Would that make any sense to you?
I understand why it don't make no sense to you.
Right.
Okay. But that was the way I mean, if you think I had anything to do with that, why would I even tell my work I went by there? I mean, that would have been stupid.
That's right. That's right. I don't know. I've seen a lot of stupid things.
It's a coincidence.
All of this is just a coincidence?
That I happen to be by there. Of course it is.
Oh, we know that there's not many coincidences in true crime. Now, I can't say there's not any, but I can say there's not many. So, again, she's not helping herself out. And again, I'm not sure if Katie lawyered up in the very beginning. She might have. It would make most sense if she did. And we are all entitled to do that. So I can never do anything to hurt anybody. Well, what about Gail?
I never do nothing to hurt anybody.
I didn't say that you hurt anybody.
And I couldn't have anything to do with any of it. There's no way I could have anything to do with her. I loved her. I can't even handle that job without her there. It's driving me crazy.
Tracy, listen, I know, okay?
You don't know how stressed I am. You have no idea without her there. It's driving me crazy. It's driving me nuts. I really just want to quit my job because I don't know that I can do it without her there. But I can't leave him there with it because none of them, like, we have a closing day at 3:00. None of them know how to do it but me. And I just had to walk up and leave everything. And they don't know how to do it. And I can't walk up and leave them like that. I promise you, if I know anything or if I knew anything, I would be the first one down here telling you.
A Freudian slip is an unintentional error in someone's speech that reveals their true subconscious feelings. In reference to what happened to Gail, Tracy just said, "If I know anything," or "if I knew anything." She was right the first time. Tracy definitely knows something. Then she follows that sentence up with, "I would be the first one down here telling you." She likely meant to say, "The first thing I do is come down here and tell you."
All right, guys, so this is fantastic. I kind of got this in little screenshots because I think these are really useful to consider when we're looking at statements. If I know anything, right? No, right? It just, no. The first thing I do is come down here and tell you, right? And she's also trying to convince too much, in my opinion. She's overly working to convince the officers that already know that she's being dishonest, you know? So very interesting. And she's definitely digging herself a hole, Chuchi.
Detectives would be correct to wonder what Tracy would be the first one of.
Now, if y'all think I had something to do with it, I mean, what do I need to do?
First of all, he's not saying you have anything to do with it.
No.
He's saying you have a lot more information.
You
may not even realize.
Have any more information.
Because the people that we got in this, you know every single one of them. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
You do.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. What did I tell you, Tracy? I told you. We know things. We already know. Okay? We already know, Tracy. Yes, Tracy, we do.
Okay, I'm confused.
The same people that you know, okay, are involved in this.
I don't understand how I would know anybody involved in any of this.
Who all do you know?
I mean, I know a lot of people, but
I asked you yesterday, who all are the people that you hang out with or that you're around? You were only able to give me one name. I had one of your coworkers came down here and was able to give me 3 or 4 names that they know that you have mentioned that you hang around with.
Well, I mean, of course I have friends like my friend Tessa and
Tessa. Okay, keep going.
Tessa and let me think. Another girl named Tess, Brandy.
She said Tessa, another girl named Tess, Brandity. She said Brandity. I mean, this is too much because all Katie's like, oh, he doves animals and all of this weird where she just mispronounces stuff. It's wild to me. It's wild to me, and quite hilarious, if not a horrible circumstance.
Now, all right. People that you know, people that you may socialize with from time to time. You were only able to give us that Jason Woody's name yesterday. Is that right?
That's right.
Your coworker came down here, and I asked her about names that you may have brought up, people that you hang out with or whatever, and she was able to give me a Mike, a John, a Brent, and she's just a coworker.
Okay, first off, I don't know no Mike.
What?
Oh, Mike Wadsworth. That's my friend Stephanie's husband.
Okay.
I know a Brent Joyner, but me and him don't even talk or anything.
He was Brent Joyner.
I went to school with him.
Okay.
It's Scott Chapman knows him.
Okay.
But I'll never talk to him or hang out with him. And who was the other one?
There was a John.
The only John I know is John Rowland, I believe, and that was my third husband's best friend. And I don't never talk to him. So I don't know where them names came from.
What about friends of your son's? They come over to your house?
I mean, he's got friends.
Like who?
Let's see, Jeremy and Daniel don't really come over there anymore. I'm trying to think. Jeremy, Hunter, Nick. I mean, he's got a lot of friends that come in and out of there.
Anybody that frequents often?
Yeah, they all do. They all come over there just about every day.
Mm-hmm. Who else?
I mean, you really want me to sit here and name all their names? My son's friends wouldn't have nothing to do with this.
Okay.
They're
Did I say they were?
16 to 17 years old.
That doesn't mean nothing. We've worked where 14-year-olds have killed people. Okay.
Sam says the Bon. I can't believe I didn't think of that one right off the top of my head, too. It's amazing. I think it's because people get nervous. I think it may be a nervous thing where they start mispronouncing like regular words, like barn is not a hard. Those are one of the first words we learn is, words like that. So interesting, Sam, right? Good to see you. So yeah, now with the accent thing, wait until Chapman enters the room because his accent is thick. I do think it's genuine. I think he's just like one of those good old boys. I was waiting for him to spit. It was hilarious. And he really holds her feet to the fire. Now she mentions that she knows Chapman, right? So this was an unexpected, and maybe in a small town, people do know each other, right? This did not work to her advantage, knowing Chapman. No, ma'am.
Well, I guess I just can't imagine that.
It happens. Trust me.
Sure it does, but I can't imagine that it would happen. I couldn't never imagine anything like this would happen to Gail.
Well, it did.
I know it did, and I can't stand it. And I'm sorry, but I don't know how more I can help you.
You said you know a Brett. Who?
A Brent Joyner?
Brent Joyner? Right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. How about a Brett Kelly?
That's my son's friend.
Okay. You didn't name him?
I mean, I forget some of them.
You just popped that right off your tongue right then. Okay?
I just told you that he's got a lot of friends.
Oh boy, guys, just I'll rewind that real quick, but we have to remember that she lies about this. I mean, this is one of the bullface lies right off the bat that she tells, because you'll figure it out in a little bit here, but she's naming off these guys that she knows, her son's friends. Oh, I forgot about him. Oh, bull crap.
Or hang out with him. And who was the other one?
There was a John.
The only John I know is John Rowland, I believe, and that was my third husband's best friend, and I don't never talk to him. So I don't know where them names came from.
What about friends of your son's? They come over to your house?
I mean, he's got friends.
Like who?
Let's see, Jeremy and Daniel don't really come over there anymore. I'm trying to think. Jeremy, Hunter, Nick. I mean, he's got a lot of friends that come in and out of there.
Anybody that frequents often?
Yeah, they all do. They all come over there just about every day.
Yeah. Who else?
I mean, you really want me to sit here and name all their names? My son's friends wouldn't have nothing to do with this.
Okay.
Did
I say they were?
16 to 17 years old.
That doesn't mean nothing. We've worked where 14-year-olds have killed people. Okay. Well,
I guess I just can't imagine that.
It happens.
I'm
Trust me.
sure it does, but I can't imagine that it would happen. I couldn't never imagine anything like this would happen to Gail.
Well, it did.
I know it did, and I can't stand it. And I'm sorry, but I don't know how more I can help you.
You said you know a Brett. Who?
A Brent Joyner?
Brent Joyner? Right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. How about a Brett Kelly?
That's my son's friend.
Okay. You didn't name him?
I mean, I forget some of them.
You just popped that right off your tongue right then. Okay?
I just told you that he's got a lot of friends. A lot.
But that name, as soon as I said it, wasn't like, well, hold on a second.
Because they're friends.
Okay. You were able to pop that name right out your mind. Okay. You went over to Gail's for a specific reason. It wasn't because your car broke down. Like I said, I don't know, okay, if you were put into this situation, okay, and I'm sorry if you were, and you didn't want to be, but you were drug into it, or I don't know if you were in on it from the get-go, okay? So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to tell us, all right?
I don't know what else I can tell you.
Hold on. What business is at 233 Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia?
It's a passport place.
Why would you need a passport place?
Because I would like to go out of town one day.
Out of town?
Yeah.
One day.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay. Sam, that's what I thought. Wait till she says these kids. Okay. She's really going to sound like TL.
Seems odd that someone would apply for their passport to, quote, go out of town someday. Most innocent people in this situation would just say that they're planning to travel to another country. But obviously, Tracy Jones isn't most innocent people.
I plan on me and my kids and going to the Bahamas or somewhere as soon as we can, just for a couple of days.
Are you aware that it's an expedited passport place?
No, what does that mean?
That means they do it fast.
Oh.
2 weeks.
Boom.
And it costs a lot of money.
Yeah, I understand.
You know, you can get a passport at CVS.
Yeah.
No,
Walgreens.
I didn't know you could just go in.
Yeah, it just takes longer. And it only costs a little bit of money.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
When did you contact this passport?
Okay, guys. And also, here's a really bad lie as well that we'll find later on. She says, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know I could just go to Walgreens and get me a passport. Oh, I had no idea. No, they strategically got the passport as they're going to let her know here, even though she's saying, well, I didn't know. I had no idea.
What place?
I don't know. One day last week.
One day last week.
You don't remember what day?
No, I don't remember what day.
Who'd you speak to?
What do you mean who did I speak to? I called them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And who all was planning on going with you on this trip?
Well, I want to take my boys, but there's some things I have to get their daddy to do.
Who's their daddy?
Leonard Scott Daniel.
Leonard Scott Daniel. Okay. So.
Oh, and Chuchi says, the passport, huh? She's planning on running, in my opinion. Yeah, and you know, she's trying to get her kids, so now she's got to get some things that daddy needs to do is probably sign off, and because the kids are underage, right? So this lady is so full of bull.
Why would Brett's name be involved in it?
Because him and my son are very good friends, and he wanted to go with us.
You said one day. You're talking like it's going to be next week.
Well, I mean, I would like to go soon. To be
You don't know if that
honest with
boy next. I mean, you're talking about one day. You said, no, you said one day, Tracy. You said one day. Now, if I tell him one day, I'd like to get married. That could be a year, 5, 10 years from now.
Exactly, right? So they're breaking it down for her, right? And Sam says, look, she knows all her options, right? Look. She knows all her options. And again, this idea of fleeing the situation as Katie Proudfoot did. There's not one single person that cannot call that a fact of Sebastian's case. Changing her phone number, leaving with her husband to accompany him back to work. Okay.
But I'm not going to go out and buy an engagement ring.
you're taking my words and you're protruding them.
We're telling you exactly how we take it. All right.
That's what you told us. We're just
repeating. All right. Now, she just had a Chris Proudfoot moment. She said, you're taking my words and protruding them. I don't know what protruding words is, but let's let's just rewind that back a tad. That's kind of funny.
Brett's name be involved in it.
Because him and my son are very good friends, and he wanted to go with us.
You said one day. You're talking like it's going to be next week.
Well, I mean, I would like to go soon. To be
You don't know if
honest
that
with you.
boy next. I mean, you're talking about one day. You said, no, you said one day, Tracy. You said one day. Now, if I tell him one day, I'd like to get married. That could be a year, 5, 10 years from now. But I'm not going to go out and buy an engagement ring.
You're taking my words and you're protruding them.
We're telling you exactly how we take it. All right.
That's what you told us. I'm just repeating exactly back to you. I just said, you said one day. That doesn't mean next week. If you were going to go next week or next month or even a year, then you would have said, well, we're getting ready. We have plans just like people do on a cruise. Well, next year we're going to go on a cruise. But you said one day. One day. And then you said, Brett, one day I'm going to take Brett. Do you see, Tracy? It's not adding up. Everything.
I completely.
Yeah, she's about to say, I completely understand. Here's the thing. Brett, right, she forgot his name in the beginning, right? Now all of a sudden she's getting passports with Brett, right? Brett is an 18-year-old friend of her son, right? The criminals in the word salad, Chuchi. She said, protruding them. I tried to, spell it in the chat best I could. Protruding them words. Gosh, I hate when the cops protrude my words. Really gets me down, It's always someone else's problem or fault, isn't it? And Mama, have a good day. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching the replay always. And Miss Ann, same to you as well. I hope you have a great dinner. So, yeah, I hate when those cops be protruding my words.
I understand. It's not adding up. I completely do. But I've told y'all everything. I've told you everything.
No, Tracy, you have.
Yes, I have.
No.
Okay.
Well, here's the deal. I'm going to go on and let you know this now.
Okay.
Right. How do you think that Gail died?
I don't know. All I know is what Patsy told me.
Okay. Homicide. Do you know what homicide means? That means murder.
Technically, homicide means the killing of a human via another human. Murder is a type of homicide, like manslaughter is a type of homicide. The detective obviously knows this, but likely wants Tracy to feel the pressure of the word murder, as it carries with it malice or intent. If he thinks Tracy isn't directly responsible for Gail Spencer's murder, this may be a good way to pressure her into revealing who is.
She was murdered, Tracy. The person that you worked with every single day, okay? This 58-year-old woman that has a son that had 2 little grandbabies, okay? All right, that she loved, all right? She was murdered. She didn't commit suicide. She didn't fall and hit her head. She was murdered by someone.
Brutally
murdered, and possibly even raped. Yes, Tracy, raped. Yes, she was raped. Okay, asphyxiation, which means she was held down, okay, and someone suffocated her to death.
All right, guys, trigger warning, okay? Trigger warning for Gail Spencer. And Miss Ann, thank you for asking. October of 2012, Gail Spencer was brutally attacked in her own home by some very awful people, right? And she was only 58 years old. She was a legal secretary, right? They worked for this big company, Calder Pinkston and Associates. And, you know, she was a grandmother to 2 grandchildren. Just extremely brutal situation. And some of these details are going to begin to unravel. Again, this is a part 1, so I'm not sure how much we will be listening to this afternoon, but then we will be continuing this on the late night court. So I want to get through a lot, you know, about half way through and do kind of 2 parts. But again, big trigger warning, and I did put Gail Spencer's obit in the chat, a link to it if you guys wanted to go over and see a picture of her. You know, the victims are who matter in these cases, and again, just knowing that we have officers who are willing to go the extra mile to get the information that goes with their investigation. At the very beginning, it's so important. It is so important.
All right? Not pretty. Okay? I just left the autopsy. All right? This woman who's never hurt anyone in her life, that's done everything and that she's supposed to do. She raised a child, single mother, on her own, worked hard every single day to provide a life for him. Okay? Every day. She's worked. She's 58 years old, she was still getting up every day and going to work. All right? Hadn't hurt a soul, never been in trouble in her life, paid all her bills, done exactly what she was supposed to do, and then someone comes inside her house and kills her. And not only killed her, but possibly even sexually assaulted her. How does that make you feel?
That makes me feel awful.
Okay. And the last person that was there
wasn't me.
was you.
I know.
Okay.
How do you think that makes me feel?
I didn't say that you killed her, Tracy.
Yeah, guys, she says, how do you think that makes me feel? And I'm sorry, but I'm getting teary-eyed back here listening to this officer describe Gail. And Chuchi, I agree. She's a beautiful lady. You could tell she took care of herself, right? She liked to do her makeup. She'd get dressed for her work. She's professional. By all accounts from the investigation, she did what she was supposed to do in life. Be good to her family, go to work, be honest, make it honest days living. You know, you don't get to be in a position where you are in charge of funds that are being transferred like that at the large amounts that she was entrusted with at her company without having education, experience, and integrity. Above all, we're about to witness people who have none. And it's extremely difficult to listen to. And all she has to say for herself is, how do you think it makes me feel when you say that to me? If that's not a red flag, I don't know what is.
I didn't say that. I did not say that at all. I've never said that. But you know more, and we already know. If you hadn't figured that out by now, come on. I'm trying to give you a rope to pull yourself out of this, girl. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to give you a rope. Now, you can do one of 2 things. Either you can take it and save yourself, or you can drown with the rest of them.
I don't know anything else than what I've told you.
All right, well.
I wish I did. I wish I could sit here and tell you something that would help, but I don't.
You want to, Tracy. I can look in your face.
I don't know. If I had something to tell you, I swear to God I would tell you because I love Gail.
Everybody that knew you and Gail said that you and Gail did not get along.
And yet we didn't get along in the office sometimes, but we talked all the time.
You talked all the time?
Yeah, we would sit down in there in that break room, in the smoke room in Calder's office, and she would tell me things about her and her family. And
I mean, they just let her go, right? There was a long, awkward pause just then, right? Because they know she's lying her ass off. Her and Gail didn't get along. They weren't the same type of person. They weren't cut from the same cloth at all. I bet you she probably didn't like this lady, nor did she trust her at all. Who knows how long this lady was stalking Gail Spencer before she decided to carry this out. What we will hear is that she's going to carry out. I promise. I would tell you. I promise. That sounds like a little kid. Pathetic. Bad liar. Fabricated story.
promise I would tell you. If I knew more, I would tell you.
You said earlier that if I spoke to Brandy, your friend that told you where this Eric lived at, right?
Mm-hmm.
That she would say that she didn't she? She gave you directions. Let me go ahead and let you know something. I had Brandy Fulford, okay, who is now Brandy Case, down here yesterday after you left.
Okay.
And Brandy says she don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, because she don't want her husband to know.
She's not gonna get herself involved in this. Okay. She said right here, said she don't have a clue what you're talking about. And she doesn't even know Eric. Said that you guys aren't even really that close.
Oh, I know you're lying now because we're very close.
I'm not lying.
Okay. Well, she lied because we're very close. We talk almost every day.
Wow. So she had the gall to look at the police officer and say, now I know you're lying. She just called the cop a liar. Wow. Linda, listen, Linda, you should go lawyer up if you are in deep. Oh, Choochie. And that's when, you know, all of us that are aware, right, of our rights as citizens, and when we look at these cases and we become familiar with the way things work, I can't lie, I'm thinking this as well. Like in many instances throughout this interview process that we're going to witness here, especially later on, I'm like, oh, you probably, well, hey, if you're willing to be honest, let's go, right? But in the same way, listen, Linda, and same goes for everyone. But again, criminals have to cover every single base or they leave themselves open to someone cracking the case, right? And so when they don't, that's just easier for investigators to figure out that one little mistake that they made rather than them covering up all their fucking mistakes, all of them put together. So yeah, it's a very precarious situation to be in. Like Choo-Choo was saying, she's in a real pickle. And when you do a dirty ass crime like this one, you're in a real pickle. When you call and report a child missing when you know where they're at, you're in a real pickle. It's only a matter of time. You have to be perfect every day. The investigators and the detectives have to be perfect once.
Well, your definition of close doesn't seem to be the same as ours.
No. We've got your co-workers and everything else saying that Gail didn't care too much for you because
Okay, well, Gail didn't care too much for me. I had no idea about it. Because as far as I knew, me and Gail were fine.
Well, you know, we have fingerprints. Okay, and we've, house and fingerprints and stuff like that and all. All right. So, people's prints are going to be at the house. All right. So your prints are going to be there.
They should be. I mean, I walked in there.
All right. And see, generally, what I was talking to you earlier about, okay, and you sit here and say that I don't have no involvement with it or whatever. All right. Now, what's going to happen? Because generally, all the suspects, they will. Usually during the interviews, they're going to admit to it because they know about these fingerprints, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's going to happen when they say Tracy was there?
Ain't nobody gonna say I was there.
They're not. You sure about that?
Positive.
Okay.
I'm positive.
Because we've already talked to other people before we brought you down
That's
to Tracy.
fine because they're not gonna say I was here. I was there, whatever.
Right. And this is a thing that I wish also was used as a tactic or was actually done. Interviewed everyone is even better. But using this to their advantage. We've already talked to people. They didn't specify who they talked to or who implicated her where. But they said, we've already talked to people. We already know. We already know. They keep reminding her that they already know. This is absolutely smart because she doesn't know any better.
I was in the house. I told you I was in the house.
The second time.
I was not in the house the second time.
The first time you told your coworkers you never even went in the house and that you used
No, I did too tell them I went in the house because I told them I had to pee.
Why are they're adamant about it?
I don't know because I told them I had to pee and I was about to die of thirst. I was so thirsty.
They just kind of look at her. And again, this was a big red flag for me in the beginning. I had to pee so bad, I had to go in there and ask her to pee, but I was so thirsty. Again, you could have used either excuse and it would have been sufficient, but to use both of them, again, not smart. It really reeks of guilt.
Well, they don't have any reason to lie, Tracy.
Well, undoubtedly they don't just remember or something because I know what I said. I told them I went in the house.
They have a pretty vivid story about what you said the first time to them that morning when you got to work.
Okay. I don't know.
Glad I did eat lunch because I'm getting fed a lot of shit today.
Yeah.
Why would Brett need a passport?
Because we were all going to go out of town.
You were all going to go out of town. You said that before. Obviously out of the country.
Yeah.
You don't need a passport to go to Alabama.
No.
No, but you do if you want to go to Mexico, if you want to go on a cruise. Or
how about Canada? Whoops, that one caught you off
guard. You need one in Canada too.
Mm-hmm. Why would he get one in Canada?
What do you mean in Canada? He didn't get a passport in Canada.
You sure
that I know of.
No, you know what? You gonna sit here and you just gonna bullshit me all day long, aren't you?
I'm not bullshitting you.
Yes, you are.
I mean, you don't need.
This is what I feel like saying to Katie. You're just gonna sit there and bullshit me all day long? That is too funny. I love how blunt that was. And Tucci says, "Oh, Tracy girl, they are onto you," and and you're getting slipped up on your own words, right? And that's the Freudian slip they were talking about earlier. I mean, she is very sloppy and very dishonest, in my opinion. And we'll see later. And obviously, it's easier for me to be confident saying that because there have been convictions in this case.
Have a trip planned according to you, and he goes and get a passport just like that.
It was just something we decided to go up there and get a
So
passport.
did y'all go up there together and get one?
Yeah,
What day?
Thursday.
The day you called out sick and said you taking your mama to the
Yeah.
wherever
Grady. Hospital, Emory, something like that.
Emory Hospital. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Who all was with y'all? I know there's more than just you and Brett.
It was me, Brett, and his sister,
Here's his sister,
Courtney
Courtney.
Kelly.
Courtney Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
How about a Shelley Kelly?
I don't know no Shelley Kelly.
Did you see one? Okay.
I understand.
Mm-hmm. Now, why would he go up there and get a passport for Canada that day?
I don't know. I didn't know that he got one for Canada.
You were there?
Yeah, I was there, but I didn't. I mean, when you get a passport, I didn't realize it had where you were going.
There is no way, Tracy, that you're going to drive someone to Atlanta to get a passport and not know where they're going. Just out of curiosity, if I took this man to Atlanta, if he said to me, hey, can you take me up to Atlanta to get a passport? All right. There's going to be a conversation at some point. Where are you going?
Where are you going? What you doing?
Yeah.
Because I just told you that. We were all planning on going somewhere.
Where?
I just told you. Okay. I mean, come on.
You haven't told us where.
No.
I told you I want either we're Mexico or we take
Those are just a bunch of. That's just.
You just gave it off names.
Exactly. So when I go get my kids' passports, we can just get up and go if we want to.
Okay, again, guys, you know, this is great. They're catching her up and slipping her up on her own words here. Just really good interviewing. Now there's two, obviously he's been in the room for a little while, but they're kind of quiet. I'm sure he's giving her some facial expressions that we can't see, right? Because her story is anything but truthful. Again, if we're going to get a passport for somewhere and we're deciding that we're going to leave the country, right? Which in order to leave the country, you need to have a passport. You're going to have a destination in mind. You're not just going to say, well, I'm just going to get my passport just in case. I mean, some people would. A person involved in this level of a crime, it absolutely looks like she's wanting to flee the country, right? To somewhere that will not extradite her back to the United States for such a crime. You know, I would love to see Chris and Katie be interviewed in this manner, you know, in the beginning, preferably. And, you know, my PTSD says criminals just think they're so smart. Now, old school mob and gang, they don't speak. They just say, call my lawyer. Well, and that's the thing, too. And, you know, either way, you're going to jail if they have enough evidence stacked against you. But that is what is the most smart strategy, no matter if you're innocent or guilty, because anything that you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Now, they are doing a good job of keeping their mouths shut about certain things. But again, the fact that she is acting stupid about Brett, who is one of her son's good friends, right? And she forgets about him. But we're going to find way more out about Brett specifically, and how he relates to her and why he's getting a passport with her.
It ain't got to be no rigmarole.
I just asked you, where did you get the passport for? And you said you didn't know?
No, I told you a minute ago, so we could all go together. No, where he was good. I didn't know you could get a passport and say, okay, I need a passport to go to such and such.
Oh my gosh, again, an awkward pause and silence by the detectives. And, you know, it's because she's being ridiculous, right? No, it's not about having a specific destination that you have to choose in order to get a passport. It's the fact that if you get a passport, you usually have a destination in mind. Again, she's not too smart.
Trace.
What?
Let me just be blunt with you. You're full of shit.
Okay.
And there isn't anybody in this room that believes you.
Okay.
What was it? Did you get a phone call to come over there and pick somebody up?
No, I didn't.
Gail Spencer. Is that what that was?
No.
Is that what it was? That's why you didn't get dressed for work yet. That's why you had to run over there, pick them up, and then go back and get dressed and then go into work.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
Okay. Did you take someone over there?
No, I did not. I went by myself.
Oh, Tracy. Who's Lisa?
I don't know Elisa.
You don't know Elisa at all? You sure about that?
I'm pretty positive. I don't know Elisa.
Is it positive or not?
I don't know what that I can think of. No, I don't think I know Elisa.
Lisa Kirby.
I don't know.
On top of Mary too.
Who?
Lisa Kirby.
I don't think I know Elisa Kirby.
That's South America.
Mm-mm. She related to Brett.
I don't know.
What's your relationship with Brett?
He's my son's friend.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is he? That's your son's friend, is he? Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. You guys hear? Mm-hmm. And then also, oh, I don't know Brett's sister. Brett has a sister? Oh, just wait, guys.
Anything else?
No.
That's what I'm getting.
Okay, do I need an attorney? Because
I didn't say you did.
I mean, y'all are sitting here acting like I had something to do with this, and I did not.
We're saying
most
that
definitely did
we're
not.
saying that all these people's names have come up. All right.
I don't understand how.
But you know.
I don't know no Lisa Kirby. I don't know Shelly Kelly. Yeah, I know some of
But
these.
we'll take Courtney Kelly. That's close enough.
Yeah, we'll take Courtney Kelly. That's fine.
Brett.
Yeah, you know Brett. But all these people that you know, Tracy, that you know.
No forced entry into her house over there. Somebody didn't break in and do it to her.
I mean, I don't know how they got in. It ain't like I have a key to let them in.
Oh, but she knows you.
I was there for 5 minutes.
And that same day, she ends up murdered.
I know that. And I feel like shit. But I didn't have anything to do with it.
And you said they.
What are you talking about?
You said they. I never. Who said that there was more than one person over their house?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? They. I said I didn't have anything to do with it.
Okay, guys. So when she's talking about this crime specifically, saying I didn't have anything to do with it, right? She's being semi-truthful, as we're going to see what her role in the situation was. But at the end of the day, I think that's why she's able to be so blunt and say I didn't have anything to do with it, which reminds me a lot of maybe why Katie can be so blunt, or maybe how she passed a polygraph if she did.
I'll talk to you further, Tracy. If you need to make a phone call or something like that, over here.
The two seemingly exhausted and disgruntled detectives exit the room, leaving Tracy on her own for about 10 minutes. During this time, she makes a quick call on her cell phone to someone in order to ensure her youngest son has a ride home from school. She informs the unknown caller that she might be gone for a while before telling them that she loves them and terminating the conversation. When the door to the room opens again,
Hey.
Detective Chapman, who we haven't seen before in this video, enters and immediately begins playing classic good cop while still pressing a Reed technique style of questioning. This is a good strategic move on his part, as the pressure applied by the two previous officers ended up with the first round of questioning going in circles. But this has likely been part of the plan all along. Before the previous
Okay, guys, really quick, I just want to say this is this is Detective Scott Chapman, right? He is hilarious. He does say a lot of off-color statements, so it is a trigger warning. If you're easily offended, you're going to be offended by at least something that comes out of Detective Scott Chapman's mouth. But in my opinion, he absolutely knows how to get the job done. Again, he does know this person, right? He knows Tracy, and they went to school together. And, you know, I'm not sure how big Macon, Georgia is, but I'm assuming it's, you know, a place where a lot of people know each other, right? Even if it's grown. I'm sure that's how their acquaintances. I don't think they're friends. I just think they know each other, and we'll kind of, you know, discuss that as it unfolds. But yeah, definitely, like if you're easily offended, especially because he is just, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know if he's being if he's being serious or not. But I mean, he's just kind of going with the flow of the conversation. And again, a big reason why we have full confessions, in my opinion.
Detectives left the room. They gave the appearance that they were both exhausted with Tracy's denials and unwilling to even consider her innocence. That, coupled with the isolation of being left alone in an interrogation room while being questioned about a murder, can make a suspect feel as though the walls are closing in and no one can help them out of the pickle they're in. This is the perfect time to send in someone to play the "you're not a bad person" part in hopes it will establish rapport that causes Tracy to open up about what really happened to Gail. Adding to that, this Detective Chapman actually knows Tracy Jones and grew up with her. And in case you're wondering, Scott Chapman is the exact same detective that interviewed Stephen McDaniel about the murder of Lauren Giddings.
One, I want to remind you, if at any point in time that you're in here, nobody's in here, you're going to have to beat on that door loud. Because we're all around the corner if you need to go to the bathroom or something.
Okay.
I don't know a lot about this case, okay? I only know certain aspects and so forth. It's a horrible thing what happened. Tracy, what I want you to understand is these investigators that are in here, they work hard. They're very good at what they do. Very good at what they do. And when I heard your name, I said, hey, I'll go pick her. I'm familiar with her. Their attitude wasn't that you've done anything wrong. They felt like they'd been lied to. Okay. But it was that there's a missing link there that you hold that they already know you hold. But see, the problem is this right here. They want to believe everything you're telling them.
I don't understand what
That's what I'm about to explain it to you. Everything, they want to believe everything you're telling them, because there's one little piece here that you're not going to tell them, makes them wonder how much of this other they can believe, okay? And nobody here is saying that you committed a crime, okay? Nobody here is saying that you knew for sure that somebody else committed a crime. It's kind of like, for instance, you know, we come up together. If you saw me walking down the road and I needed a ride, you may pick me up and give me a ride. Or if I had happened to bump into you, let's say at the bar a couple nights ago, you say, hey, Scott, here's my number, call me sometime. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, I say, hey, Tracy, I know I just bumped into you, blah, blah, I need a ride. Can you come get me? And you come pick me up. You may not know I got $10,000 worth of dope in my pocket.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. And you may not realize that that we breaking the law riding down the road. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you get a phone call and you're trying to help me out. Shit, man. Next thing you know, the police picking you up. What the hell? What do you mean? But if you said, hell, I didn't see Scott Chapman, they're going to be like, wait a minute. We know she saw Scott Chapman. Damn, she must have knew he had that dope. She's worried about getting in trouble. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you said, yeah, I picked this dumb ass up. Yeah, I gave him a ride. What's the problem? They'd go, yeah, she didn't know he had that dope. Yeah. Because there's no reason to lie.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And that's
okay, guys. So he's breaking it down to her. He's giving her a courtesy right here, right? Because he knows her, right? But he's also a very smart detective, in my opinion, because he's using these techniques in order to pull the truth out of her. Now, what he's doing here is he's doing her a solid and saying, okay, these are some examples that I'm going to give to you. And based on what you're telling us, everybody thinks you're lying. We know you're lying, right? So just stop. Let's back up. I'm giving you a second chance to start telling me the truth. A courtesy, a solid.
That's all it is. Nobody here, you know, nobody thinks you're a horrible person. Nobody thinks you're a bad person. Nobody here thinks that truthfully, they just think you're scared. Okay. A friend of yours got killed. Okay. Yeah. And the last thing you want to do is be implemented as part of that, even if it was by accident, because the last thing you want to have to deal with that at work. You know?
Right. And he's also giving her an opportunity to take herself out of what happened, right? He's saying, look, this is your friend. We understand you're just finding out that your friend is no longer here. And we don't think you're a bad person. We're just wondering what happened, right? Because you did put yourself at her house, right? And he's going to go more into that as well. But again, he's giving her opportunities to come clean about the situation and saying, we don't think you're guilty of this, but we think that you have guilty knowledge. As a matter of fact, we know you have guilty knowledge. Very smart technique.
Hey, yeah, these fools that got me tied into something. I didn't know what was going on. And it's hard for somebody in those shoes to say that because they're worried how they're going to be judged out there. Okay? And so trust me when I tell you I feel your pain. Okay? But trust me when I tell you that little bit of pain ain't nothing. You understand? That's something you can get over in time. You understand? Mm-hmm. This is something very serious that ain't going anywhere.
Tracy just cracked multiple knuckles on her fingers. This might seem like an odd thing to do while being questioned about the murder of a coworker. While not an indication of guilt, like hugging oneself, this can often be perceived as a sign of high-level anxiety and extreme discomfort. But to be fair to Tracy, being questioned in an accusatory manner about anyone's murder would be extremely uncomfortable.
Absolutely, it would be. So I do want to point out, in the Chronicles of Olivia interview with Katie Proudfoot, she is absolutely cracking her knuckles, popping her knuckles, crack, crack, crack. I don't pop my knuckles. But it is, according to body language mastery, pacifiers, right? Pacifiers, again, self-soothing. Pacifiers that could show deception are present in someone who's popping or cracking their knuckles. Just as some babies need pacifiers to calm down, grown-ups do certain things to relieve tension. You may notice cracking knuckles, hugging oneself, tapping, drumming fingers. We also saw Katie doing that. He three-wayed, same interview, Chronicles of Olivia. Chronicles of Olivia. He three-wayed, and she's tapping on the tablecloth. Coughing. Chris, where you at? Swallowing hard. Chris, where you at? Clearing their throat. Hey, Chris. Come on, Chris. I want to hear that cough in the background. Yawning. Rocking. Katie. Bouncing. Wiggling. Katie, I don't know. You've done all of it. Crossing legs. Watch for timing on this one, right? So if one is crossing their legs at certain times within the interview, right, in certain situations, it's worth looking at. It's worth taking a second look. Touching their hair, right? Because that's self-soothing behavior. Touching your hair, curling it, or stroking your hair. We see that when people are telling their stories of trauma a lot of times. Some of these behaviors could be some of these behaviors can be done out of habit, right? If we have to check the baseline always. Is this something that this person always does, whether they're nervous or trying to pacify themselves or not? But if the person has been open and confident, all of a sudden switches to one or more of these, it's a big hot spot. Hot spot, red flag, hello. Flag on the play. Caution, right? Good to see you, Lisa. Thanks for being here.
That little bullshit that you may be worried about people at work or something like that, looking at you sideways, or what people on the streets may think, okay, who cares, man? You got to be honest with them.
That's the thing, though. I am being honest. I don't understand.
Sweetheart, I want you to understand something. My heart goes out to you. I know you gotta hate this room right here. Because it wasn't that long ago you was in there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I know you gotta hate this room. You're not telling the whole truth. And listen to me now. I'm real good at what I do. Okay? And it's always tough in my job when I'm in a room or like this with somebody I know. Okay? Because I know where your heart, I know you love them babies. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You love them babies. Everybody's always talked about how you love them babies. So there's nothing that anybody's going to say that's going to make me look at you like a horrible person. You understand?
Yeah.
People who don't know you don't know you. Okay? But
all right, so he is using his relationship, right? Him knowing her and saying, oh, I know you. I know how you are. You're not a bad person. You're not a bad mother. As a matter of fact, you're a good mother, right? I know you. These other people don't. He's using this as leverage and to his advantage in the best way possible, in my opinion.
It's real important. We don't want people to look at you like a horrible person. If you start if you continue not to tell the truth about everything, they don't know you like I do. They don't know that maybe you got directed down the wrong path by some bullshit, that you're not a heinous person, okay? I can tell them all day long.
Yeah.
And they love me. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to want to, well, Chapman said it straight, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But at the same time, at the end of the day, when they know what they know, and you're sitting here going, what are you talking about? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, even though I know you, and even if I didn't know you, that whole bullshit about I just happened to be in that neighborhood that morning and my car broke down and it started back up. I mean, if it was my own mother sitting, I'd be going, damn, Mom, you should have come up with some better shit than that.
Oh, damn. He said, damn, Mama, you should have came up with some better shit than that. Holy hell in a handbasket. That was hilarious, right? And okay, again, I told you guys in the very beginning of this, that was exactly where everyone in the room should have been lost. I don't know. I'm not these law enforcement officers or detectives, but I could tell the whole conversation shifted and it pissed them off a bit when she tried to pass this bullshit story. Oh, my car broke down. I was thirsty. I had to pee. I was trying to get some pills, you know, I mean, just the whole 9 yards. And he said, even if his mother told this story, he'd be telling her, damn, Mama, you need to come up with a better story than that. Woo!
I mean, that really is what happened.
I understand, but I'm just saying, I just said, Mom,
I mean, if I had anything to do with it, it's like I told her, if I had anything to do with that, why would I have even told
the same reason they all do?
I would never went away and told them that.
That's the same reason they all do, sweetheart. See, that doesn't mean anything to an investigator, and I'm going to tell you why. I've never interviewed a murder suspect that didn't put himself there prior to the murder. You know why? Because they already know we're going to get their fingerprints. And if they say they weren't there at all, and we get their prints, they're done.
Yeah.
So they always say, yeah, I was there earlier that day.
I've been in her house before.
I understand, but see, we can tell by certain tests, like a fingerprint, whether that fingerprint was put there 3 months ago or it was put there yesterday.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we can tell stuff like that.
Yeah.
Detectives don't have to tell the truth when questioning a suspect. And honestly, there's no way to tell the age of a fingerprint.
Okay, so I'll rewind this a bit, but they say, you know, they're saying, okay, that now the detective's lying. There's no way to really tell the age on a fingerprint, right? Fingerprints last a very long time and everything else. But I think that the way that the detective said this, you could tell he was lying, right? Because he's like things like, yeah, you know, he kind of leaves it flat, right? But it was hilarious the way he did that. Is he's like, oh yeah, we could tell things like that, you know. And it's just like, and she just going, and you know, he keeps with the sweetheart baby, and you know, endearing terms with her, and yeah, it's just definitely something to see.
That doesn't mean anything to an investigator, and I'm going to tell you why. I've never interviewed a murder suspect that didn't put himself there prior to the murder. You know why? Because they already know we're going to get their fingerprints. And if they say they weren't there at all, and we get their prints, they're done.
Yeah.
So they always say, yeah, I was there earlier
I've
that day.
been in her house before.
I understand, but see, we can tell by certain tests, like a fingerprint, whether that fingerprint was put there 3 months ago or it was put there yesterday.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we can tell stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right, he's like stuff like that. Yeah, you know, and he just leaves it at that. It's not like he's gonna continue on, but he does kind of put the ball in her court, like, look, we know. You know, and that's the reason why we know, is because typically when people were there, they'll tell us that they were there because, of course, they know that they might have left behind some DNA, even if it's not a fingerprint. You know, carpet fibers pull up a lot of shit when it comes to DNA. You know, somebody with long hair like her, that she might leave some hair behind. You just never know.
Detectives don't have to tell the truth when questioning a suspect. And honestly, there's no way to tell the age of a fingerprint. And really, the only way to estimate something like that is to know exactly when the last time the surface that produced the print was cleaned. Depending upon a multitude of environmental variables, latent fingerprints can survive intact on some surfaces for decades. But leading Tracy to believe this statement may serve as a way to make her think the detectives can prove she was at the scene of the crime longer than she claims. You might think this is a dirty tactic, and under the assumption of presumed innocence, maybe it is. But trying to fish out the truth from a lying suspect is a game, and that game is all about calling bluffs and delivering them.
So, and anybody who watches CSI...
Oh, exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, look, they're trying to get the truth out of a liar. So, in order to get the truth out of a liar, sometimes you have to lie to them. Sometimes you have to flatter them. Sometimes you have to make them think that you're their buddy. You have to build rapport. You have to build trust. But in the same way, they're allowed to use these tactics where they're saying, yeah, I'm being honest 100%, right? Honestly, right? To be honest. And then they're feeding them a line of bullshit because, I mean, let's be honest, they're feeding them a line of bullshit first, right? So now he's going to get into CSI. I mean, this is just too funny right here.
Because they already know we're going to get their fingerprints. And if they say they weren't there at all, and we get their prints, they're done.
Yeah.
So they always, because they already know we're going to get their fingerprints. And if they say they weren't there at all, they don't want to get caught.
Do you trust your girl?
Oh, sorry, guys.
Of course I do. Enough to research her on Spokio?
Caught in that lie.
Yeah.
So they always admit to being there. So by you saying, if those investigators come in here, if you say, well, why would I do that? Sweetheart, every one of them's always done it. They always do that. That's all part of it. But the thing about it, because I know you're not capable of doing what I know happened to this woman.
Yeah.
Okay? But there's no doubt in my mind, sweetheart, regardless of what you say. And that's what, when they come out and they talk to me, they tell me, and I shake my own head because I said, that don't even make no sense. I don't know why she's saying it like that. And I asked him, I said, I'm going to go around there and talk to her. And this isn't my case. So I wouldn't even be in here right now if they hadn't approved it. But I said, I know her. Give me an opportunity to go in and just talk to her.
You know me. I take Lord out. I have to take them. I have arthritis everywhere, and I have to take them. A friend of mine stole half my Lord's tablet in my pocketbook.
Who?
I think it was either Brandy or it was Amy, my cousin Amy. It was either one of them. I don't know which one. They both have.
Because you met up with Amy downtown not too long ago.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. We real good about finding out everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I'm sure you are.
So
Anyway, I knew I was out, and she had done told me about this person. And
Who is she?
Brandy. I don't care what she says she did.
Because I had Brandy sitting in that chair yesterday.
I'm sure, but she's gonna tell you.
It didn't take me but about 5 seconds to find her.
Yeah, she's gonna tell you she didn't.
Let me tell you something though.
Just like she's saying we're not close.
Let me explain something to you about Brandy or about people in general. There's certain things that we do to ensure that we're being told the truth. Like for instance, if I say, "Did you rob that marathon?" No. So didn't. Did you rob that Conoco last week? Yeah, I robbed that Conoco. Now, why admit to the Conoco, not admit to the marathon? See what I'm saying? Brandon, we talked to Brandon. We got a lot of truth out.
I'm sorry, guys. I realized I didn't go back far enough. So I want you to hear the CSI comment. I wonder how many detectives fish to see whether their criminal enjoys true crime. And again, I apologize if it's a little bit repetitious here. I just lost our spot a little bit when we had the ad. So here we go. I think I found it.
Was cleaned. Depending upon a multitude of environmental variables, latent fingerprints can survive intact on some surfaces for decades. But leading Tracy to believe this statement may serve as a way to make her think the detectives can prove she was at the scene of the crime longer than she claims. You might think this is a dirty tactic, and under the assumption of presumed innocence, maybe it is. But trying to fish out the truth from a lying suspect is a game, and that game is all about calling bluffs and delivering them.
So, and anybody who watches CSI on TV, knows, I mean, I hate those shows. They tell everybody what we can do.
Yeah.
But they all say, yeah, I was there, but I wasn't there when that happened, because they don't want to get caught in that lie.
Yeah.
So they always admit to being there. So by you saying, if those investigators come in here, if you say, well, why would I do that? Sweetheart, every one of them's always done it. They always do that. That's all part of it. But the thing about it, because I know you're not capable of doing what I know happened to this woman.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's no doubt in my mind, sweetheart, regardless of what you say. And that's what, when they come out and they talk to me, they tell me, and I shake my own head because I said, that don't even make no sense. I don't know why she's saying it like that. And I asked him, I said, I'm going to go around there and talk to her. And this isn't my case. So I wouldn't even be in here right now if they hadn't approved it. But I said, I know her. Give me an opportunity to go in there and just talk.
You know me. I take Lord out. I have to take them. I have arthritis everywhere, and I have to take them. A friend of mine stole half my Lord tablet in my pocketbook.
Who?
I think it was either Brandy or it was Amy, my cousin Amy. It was either one of them. I don't know which one. They both have.
Because you met at Amy downtown not too long ago.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. We real good about finding out everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I'm sure you are.
So
Anyway, I knew I was out, and she had told me about this person. And
Who is she?
Brandy. I don't care what she says she did.
Because I had Brandy sitting in that chair yesterday.
I'm sure, but she's gonna tell you.
It didn't take me but about 5 seconds to find her.
Yeah, she's gonna tell you she didn't.
Let me tell you something though.
Just like she's saying we're not close.
Let me explain something to you about.
Okay, so he's spoken to everyone that she's talking about here, right? He's like, you do realize that we spoke with Brandy, right? I met up with your cousin. I've talked with everybody. You do realize that, right? Like, he's trying to tell her, we know, right? We've talked to everyone. What you're saying is a lie.
About Brandy or about people in general. There's certain things that we do to ensure that we're being told the truth. Like, for instance, if I say, did you rob that marathon? No. So didn't. Did you rob that Conoco last week? Yeah, I robbed that Conoco. Now, why admit to the Conoco, not admit to the marathon? See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, why would you admit to going to find pills, right? Lortab, you can only get those prescribed by a doctor, and she's going to buy them off the street, and she's admitted that from jump, right? I was doing something bad, right? So why would you admit to one and not the other? Again, doesn't make sense.
Brandy, we talked to Brandy, and we got a lot of truth out of Brandy, I feel like. Okay, now I'm not going to sit here and tell you every aspect of our conversation because it wouldn't be fair to those investigators.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I don't give a shit what Brandy told you. There's too many things in that just sounds like bullshit. And I'm telling you, I'm only telling you this because I don't want to see you look like a monster. You can continue to tell them what you want to, but they know it's bullshit. Okay? All right. Now, they may let you chill in here for 5 minutes. They may let you chill in here for 15 minutes before they come back. But trust me when I tell you, if you continue to tell that lie, and I'm not saying that you got to say, Scott, that ain't a lie. You ain't got to tell me nothing. I'm only telling you that if you continue to tell that lie, they already know it's a lie. They can prove that lie. They already know it. I'm only reason why I'm in here right now, and I'm not going to tell you how they can prove it. The only reason why they're asking you isn't because they want to know. They just want to see how honest of a person you are. That's it. Because they already know the truth. You understand? They're just trying.
Okay, this is a great tactic or technique in order to get her to tell more information, right? Because he's saying we know everything. So they're trying to get her to tell what she knows. And they don't maybe know everything. They know a lot. They've talked to a lot of people, right? They've investigated the case thus far. They have the autopsy results and all of that at this point. But again, with him telling her, look, we know everything, it's putting her in a corner. It's backing her into a position where she's going to start telling information based on all of those people that they said they've already talked to. So a really great technique to draw out the truth.
Trying to figure out what side of the fence you're standing on. You understand? Mm-hmm. Because it's kind of like Shane to me. Everybody knows I love Shane Anderson.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if something ever happened and with Shane, and I was the one that interviewed him, people are going to have to wonder, what came first? My loyalty to Shane or my loyalty to the job? Mm-hmm. Regardless of no matter how well I do my job, no matter how hard I work to keep my integrity intact here, there's always going to be that people that we work around them every day. Mm-hmm. That always going to think the worst, always want to know. Tracy, you're lying. Now, you can continue to lie if you want to.
He says, I like you, but I don't like you that much. I don't like you enough to spoil my integrity. I don't like you, or anyone for that matter, enough to jeopardize my job, my integrity, and who I am as a person, my moral compass, if you will.
But they already know it. Okay? They know you're lying. It's only a matter of time before things blow up and you go, damn, I wish I'd have told them. And the truth is, one, I won't lie. Even if I knew specific dynamics about this case, I wouldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Okay? But the truth is, I don't know. I only know bits and pieces, and the only reason why they're coming to me with it is because it's you that's sitting here and they know I know you. And they come to me, hey, man, she this kind of person, she this kind of person. I'll be like, look, man, she's a good mama.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's a good mama. I say, you know, she likes to party. Shit, how many times you seen me drunk in the club? I like to party. You know what I mean? I mean, if she's guilty of that, I'm guilty of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I love my babies. I love to drink and act stupid too. You know what I'm saying? I said, that's what I know about her. You know, it is what it is. And, but when they say, well, Scott, this is what she's telling us. I'm like, and I'm going, okay. And they're saying, Scott, look. And I'm going, oh shit, why would she lie about that? Because Tracy, I know you're lying. They're very good at what they do. I've seen what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You're lying. Yes. It's okay. I don't.
Okay, right? And he's like, I'm not going to judge you, but I know you're lying. You see how he rolled around, right? There's still a significant amount of room between them. But again, he's cornering her because, again, she's free to leave. She has been, never been Mirandized, right? She has been able to leave this whole entire time, right? He swings his chair around just a bit. And again, he's absolutely honing in. I know you're lying. When he swivels that chair, I know you're lying. Tracy, I'm not judging you, but again, I know you're lying. I think you're a good mom. I've told everybody you're a good mom. They asked me what I thought of you. I like you, but I don't like you that much because I know you're lying.
Judge you. For whatever reason you want to lie, that's on you. Because this is the thing. It's like back in my wild days when I've always been a good daddy and always been the best husband. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of women in my life here and there, this and that. And I can remember being confronted. I'd have to make a choice right then. Okay. If I was going to lie, I was going to have to be willing to carry the weight of that lie. You know what I'm saying? Well, I could tell the truth. Okay. And deal with what comes. That's a choice I had to make.
All right, guys. And we talk about this a lot when it comes to Chris and Katie. A lot. They're carrying the weight of that lie. Katie's carrying the weight of a lie. In my opinion, Chris Proudfoot is carrying the weight of a lie. They are absolutely carrying a much heavier burden than they even thought of. Because again, on Smiley Story's world, they were asked, was Sebastian ever a burden in your marriage? Chris answered back with a question. Was Sebastian ever a burden to our marriage? He says no. Then immediately after, Katie says no. But up until then, she's quiet as a church mouse. She says nothing until he says no. Hello, Captain Jules. How are you? Good to see you. Folding her arms up. Yep. That way really means no cooperation. Exactly. She's very defensive, right? And very defensive. And he's kind of signaling in on her, right? And saying, I know you're lying, right? Right there. Again, he's less aggressive, in my opinion, even though he's being very honest and the way of just authentically, right? Honest. Not everything he's telling her is 100%, but he's being more genuine and authentic with her, although they do know each other. So that's a big difference. But again, that could be used with someone that you don't know either, building rapport. So All that is unseen. I know nobody's chatting. I think everyone's making dinner probably. But so yeah, I mean, and I hope people are listening intently too. And if you are seeing examples of different things like Cinderella, body language is a huge part of statement analysis and what we're trying to look at here. And again, comparing it to other cases, mainly the Sebastian Rogers case, though, because this woman is absolutely lying. And I believe that if this would have been implemented, if these techniques would have been used in the beginning, then they could have used leverage. They could have leveraged the parents against each other. And I'm not saying, rile them all up and hurt them. They're missing their child. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we could have gotten more information and more truth out of them, and maybe even a confession, if some of these tactics had been used. If we had a detective that wasn't worried about being friends with or knowing Chris and Katie Proudfoot, or the Bowersox for that matter, because it's been rumored that they do know them, if they would have leveraged that relationship in the way that this detective has leveraged his relationship with the suspect or the one that's being interviewed, then we could have seen a completely different outcome, in my opinion. It is so important to examine different interrogations, especially because we've already heard Katie and Chris tell their story a billion times, and some variants that they told the public has to be pretty close to what they've told law enforcement, although we don't know what they've told law enforcement.
Many times in my life, okay? You are making that choice right now, okay? But we're not talking about a man. We're not talking about your boyfriend or your husband thinking you're cheating. We're talking about a dead woman. You understand? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of weight there. You feel me? Uh-huh. And my heart goes out to you, because if you lie, you're going to be carrying the weight of that. Okay? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They can prove that lie all day long. And I'm just letting you know that. Don't lie to them anymore, because that little bit of bullshit that you're lying about, let it go, man. I'm telling you, I know the lies that you told. I've seen it. I can look at it. And I'm telling you now, unless you want every bit of this right here on this table to look like a lie, when you may be telling the truth about all the way up to here and lying about this. But when you lie about this, guess what all this becomes in their eyes?
Yeah.
A fucking lie. It's all a lie to them, because how can they believe anything you say? Just kind of like how, let's say you drop me off somewhere. They may say, hey, did you pick Scott Chapman up? Really? You can go, hell no, because you didn't. You dropped me off. But they're only giving you an opportunity to say, no, I dropped him off. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or if they say, hey, did you drop him off? No, I picked that motherfucker up. He went home with me. You know what I'm saying? He stayed with me all night. Mm-hmm. They're not going to tell you what to say. They got to know that you read into it and you were wanting to be honest. You feel me? Uh-huh. There's really no point in continuing to lie to them. How do you want me to handle it when I walk back out there? Okay, you don't have to tell me the truth. But I know they're going to ask me, dude, she going to be straight up with me when I go back in there? Because whether you straight up with them or not, they already know the lie. Because I know the lie. And you know the lie. You ain't got to admit it to me, but you know the lie. Are you going to be straight up with them or not?
I mean, I really don't know what I'm lying about. I don't know what I'm lying about.
Okay. I'm going to ask you directly.
Okay.
Remember how I said we can ask certain questions to see how you come back at it a different way? When you went over there to that neighborhood, was anybody with you?
No.
Okay. Did anybody call you to come to that neighborhood?
No.
Okay. Did you pick anybody up in that neighborhood?
No.
Okay. Did anybody call you in reference to looking out for something or checking on something or anything? Come on, Tracy.
No, not that I remember. What do you mean calling me?
Put yourself in Tracy's shoes for a moment. You're being questioned about the murder of a coworker. You were also the last person to see the victim alive on the day of her demise. Authorities know you were at her house on the day of the crime, to which you claim was only for a very brief visit. You're able to remember small details such as the color of the cup you drank from while at the victim's residence. But when asked whether or not you received a phone call in regard to being a lookout or checking on something while in the victim's neighborhood on the day of the murder, your response is, "Not that I remember." Does this sound like a reasonable answer given by someone who's innocent and knows nothing about the crime?
Ooh, not in my opinion. I mean, checks all the boxes, right? And also, it's very difficult when you are asking questions of this nature when there is a crime suspected or even a disappearance, because I was getting very frustrated in Devlin Tate's case when all of a sudden people started having selective memory when it came closer to the time that he disappeared, right? And some of that was nervousness, some of it may be a distrust issue, something like that, but it's not always guilt, but it can be looked at in that way. And it's very frustrating when you can recall small details, but you forget specifics, right? And again, it just seems dishonest. And all that is unseen. Some people are great storytellers, and honestly, I admire that skill. Yes, I believe that this detective is a very good storyteller, right? He's very animated, and he's also staying on task, right? Like, he absolutely has a great agenda that he's working with, and he's laying it on thick for her, And Laura Arnold says, I grew up in Georgia, and yes, that accent is original. Thank you. I mean, I always wonder because, we see a lot of this, and then the mirroring of whoever they're talking to. We saw that with Katie Proudfoot, right? Now, I will say, I think her accent gets a little thicker to meet his, but that's different when you're around people that you grew up with or that you already know, that kind of thing. We've talked about that as well. It's just interesting how that happens, right? And you just kind of fall back into a thicker accent, which is understandable. It's when we're totally changing accents, which is weird. Yes, all that is unseen. She paused, like, exactly what do you mean, sir? Exactly. Well, and she's nervous, right? Because they're really telling her this whole time, we know. They bring in her friend. He's like, look, I know you're a good person. I don't think you could do something like this. So you have to start telling us the truth, right? And it's just very interesting how it all unfolds. She's the type that absolutely will not talk my opinion. She's doing a very good job of not telling the truth, right? And not talking, not being like, oh my gosh, okay, sure, and just spilling the beans, right? So I think it makes her more calculated in that way. I think she knows exactly what she's doing. And also, she is more of the brains of the operation, even though it's hard to believe by listening to her. So thank you, Sasha. Yeah, so very interesting, just the breakdown here as we see it.
Detective doesn't think so either. The question presented to Tracy was specific and so far removed from vague that it simply demands a definite response. For example, if I were to ask you if you ate any meat last Tuesday, a response like, I don't think so, or I don't remember, would likely suffice. But if I had asked you whether or not you ate meatballs last Tuesday that were shaped like Christmas trees while sitting on a specific street, not that I remember, likely wouldn't be an adequate response. In fact, it would lead into my next question, which would probably be, what do you mean you don't remember? You don't remember whether or not you sat on a specific street eating meatballs shaped like Christmas trees last Tuesday? Recent
All right, so this breakdown by Mr. Black is phenomenal. In my opinion, he's the man, right? He's over here like, okay, so if you if you have a scenario so specific as Christmas tree shaped meatballs, right? Because how many times in life are you going to eat one of those? They do look cute and maybe delicious. I guess that's Parmesan cheese for the snow. I don't know. But I mean, right? This is like, stellar observation, and I couldn't have done a better example myself. Again, it just shows the attention to detail, or when somebody can be detailed about one subject, but then all of a sudden completely forget something, as crazy as this. It reminds me of the colossal popcorn that Katie describes in, again, the Chronicles of Olivia interview. He ate a colossal popcorn, and then Nancy Grace even asks about this colossal popcorn. But we never hear about lunchtime. We never hear about Sebastian coming home and getting ready for bed and putting out his school clothes, brushing his teeth, taking his medications. All of that is lost, and again, it just speaks to, are they being truthful? Do they have a fabricated story they're working with, or is it as whimsical and magical and a big fairy story like Christmas tree shaped meatballs? K9 Jules, I don't know why, Jules. I tried to tell you, thank you so much for your service, and we appreciate your canines, all the canines. We know Gator and Ara really well, but I know that you have many that you work, and I know they're just God's gift to us, the work dogs and just dogs and animals in general. So thank you, Jules. I don't know why. I tried to put it like 2 times in chat, and it held it back. So of course, yeah, we really appreciate you here, Jules. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a great analogy with examples. Supporting evidence is these Christmas tree meatballs situation we got going down over here. So I don't want to go back too far. I hate when I stop it in the middle like that, but okay, here, we'll do this.
Think so either. The question presented to Tracy was specific and so far removed from vague that it simply demands a definite response. For example, if I were to ask you if you ate any meat last Tuesday, a response like, I don't think so, or I don't remember, would likely suffice. But if I had asked you whether or not you ate meatballs last Tuesday that were shaped like Christmas trees while sitting on a specific street, not that I remember, likely wouldn't be an adequate response. In fact, it would lead into my next question, which would probably be, what do you mean you don't remember? You don't remember whether or not you sat on a specific street eating meatballs shaped like Christmas trees last Tuesday? Recent specific details such as this are hard to forget, and that's what makes Tracy come across as deceptive.
Tracy, you're lying. You're lying. You're lying.
What am I lying about, though?
You're lying about why you were in that neighborhood.
I was really
Tracy,
in that
stop
neighborhood
it.
to find
No.
drugs. Yes,
Okay,
I was.
listen to me. Sure. Whatever. Tracy, you're lying, baby. I'm trying to tell you, it's really ridiculous why you're lying. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody here passes judgment. We see the worst things down here, okay? We deal with people doing all kinds of things. They locked up your old man for child molestation, right?
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, we see the worst shit. And when I see Scott, I feel like, what's up, buddy? You know what I'm saying? We do our job at the end of the day, okay? It's up to a judge, jury, and the DA's office to decide people's fate. We're like secretaries. We document it all. We find probable cause, make an arrest, we do so. They decide your fate. We have no say-so in that, okay?
The detective is telling the truth here. He's also just revealed that his department previously had a hand in locking up Tracy's father for molestation. It's unclear whether or not she was the victim in that case, but judging by the demeanor of the detective, interrogating Tracy is not a task he takes lightly.
You don't have to worry about people looking at you like you're awful, okay? But when you lie, they think they're awful. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
We don't pass to... We know about Brett, okay? We know about the relationship there. We know about all that. I don't even care. It doesn't even matter to me. It doesn't. I'm sure that's probably got some embarrassment with you right now. You feel like these grown men are looking at me because I'm messing with this young boy or whatever. Who cares? Do you know how many grown men around here wish they had a 19 or 20-year-old girl? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Who gives a shit? Demi Moore opened that door for everybody. You know what I mean? So.
Okay, so this is the first time that he tells her, look, we already know that you and Brett are in a relationship, that you and Brett have been in a relationship. So again, why are you lying about stupid shit that we can find out very easily that we already know? right? He throws it right back at her. And Chuchi says, I sure wouldn't forget if I ate meatballs shaped like Christmas trees. That's something you don't eat every day or see every day. Exactly. Yeah. And I was thinking about how they even made those. I'm guessing they used like one of those like piping for cakes. I don't know. That's just my best guess. Because then I was like, oh yeah, how would we make one of those? But that's my best guess on that. They're cute. Maybe you could make like a big meatloaf. Maybe you could make like a tree meatloaf. I don't know. That'd be hilarious. Who knows? Maybe we'll try that on our cooking segment. Chuchi. True crime Christmas tree meatloaf in July. Well, no, it's not July, but springtime meatloaf. Um, that's too funny. Mine are usually shaped like basketballs, and I buy them pre-made, frozen from Walmart. Yeah, those are really good to do like little cocktail in the crock pot, little cocktail meatballs. You know, absolutely, that's too funny. But yeah, I mean, so here we are. We went from her not mentioning Brett at all. She forgot his name. A bunch of my son has a bunch of friends. I don't know all of them. What, you want me to name them all off? Right? But I mean, Brett is her boyfriend and has been, right? 18-year-old of her son, friend of her son's. And he's straight telling her right now, we know, we know already that you and Brett are a couple. We've talked to everybody, and you're lying. Again, why would you lie about something so stupid, especially when you're in for such a serious matter?
Get that, who cares, man?
I mean, I don't understand what my personal relationship has anything to do with any of this.
Okay.
Tracy is 38, and the person in question, Tracy's son's friend, Brett Kelly, is only 18. It's not illegal for her to have an intimate relationship with this person. It's also no secret that Tracy is romantically involved with this young man. But the fact that she left this person out when listing off her son's friends for the other detectives earlier, coupled with the denial and avoidance of the fact that Brett is indeed her boyfriend, does make her look highly suspicious.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation.
Sweetheart, that investigator's pretty much told you we know all the players in this deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You have a direct link to the victim in this crime. She works with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a direct link to the suspect in this case. And you were in the neighborhood when everything went down. You can lie all day long, sweetheart. But at the end of the day, there's no point to lie. When I picked you up today, were you handcuffed?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. At any point in time, has anybody advised you of your rights?
No.
So that means you're not what?
Being arrested.
You're not under arrest. Okay. Right now, we're looking for a witness. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we came down here to talk to, was a witness that has information that we know that you have. Now, when a witness doesn't cooperate and we know that they know information, what do they become?
I don't know.
A suspect.
Okay.
We talked about that fence a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
What side of the fence are you on?
I mean, I want to be on your side.
Okay, no, because see, on my side is over here.
Mm-hmm.
You're a witness. I'm not going to lie to you, sweetheart. You coming real close to being a suspect. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Let me tell you why. Because you're lying, Tracy. Look at me. You are lying. I know you're lying. I know you're lying. I know it. They know it. They're sitting around there eating Arby's sandwiches and Subways, just waiting to come back in here, just waiting to walk back in here in a minute and go.
They're just waiting. They're out there eating their sub sandwiches, their Arby's. They got their friggin' zesty sauce, their horsey sauce. They're out there just waiting, right? Oh, Lord, this guy, he's too funny. But, I mean, it's the truth. And again, I know you're lying. I know you're lying. Now, when it comes to Chris and Katie Proudfoot, and I'm thinking about the fuck shit they've told us and what kind of fuck shit they possibly could have told law enforcement, it makes me wonder if this was ever, again, something done in order to draw the truth out of Katie Proudfoot, right? We know that Sebastian couldn't have just walked off without his shoes on. We've searched the area. I mean, on day 5, at the very least, this conversation should have happened. They should have pulled her ass in. They should have pulled Chris's ass in. They should have pulled Seth's ass in. All of them. Different rooms, have talked to everyone, have talked to the Bauer feets. Did they? I don't know. But on day 5, they had enough information to come at Katie just like this, in my opinion. What do you mean he left with no shoes on? We all know you're lying, Katie. What do you mean, Bubba, did you fall out of the bed? No, ma'am. Was it a bang? Was it a thud? Was it just a noise? Come on. And why not? Liar, 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 Tracy's pants are on fire. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it.
Are you fucking retarded? You know what I mean? That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. Why? For what? Help me understand. You got a little boy toy? Who gives a fuck if he did something fucking stupid? And if you know about it, you need
You wouldn't have done
stop. Sweetheart, be real careful about what I know. Because I've already told you at the beginning of this conversation what.
Be real careful about what I know, because I've already started to tell you in the beginning of the conversation. Did investigators, detectives, police officers, investigators, whatever, in Sebastian Rogers' case ever come at Katie with this same energy? I'd really love to know, because if they didn't, they dropped the ball big time. Right? They just did.
I'm not going to tell you everything I know.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. How long has this relationship been going on with you and Brett?
Since like March.
Since March?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He been to work with you?
No. He's brought me to work before.
Brought you to work?
Me
You
off.
come in there and hung out?
No.
He ever met this woman that got killed?
No.
Hell no, he ain't. So if we know he committed a crime, and the only link to the victim in this case is who?
I don't understand how he could have done this.
How could he not have?
Why would he?
To summarize what we're skipping through, the detective continues to press Tracy, asserting he knows her boyfriend Brett is the one responsible for the murder of Gail Spencer. He also continues to apply pressure with the narrative that Tracy was somehow involved, as he lays out hypotheticals that paint a picture of how Tracy will look in front of a jury if she comes clean versus if she continues to lie. He then ramps up the interrogation by verbally using Brett Kelly as some kind of mental ransom. While possibly an odd move, it sends a clear message that Detective Chapman is no longer the old friend she so desperately needed to pull her out of this hole. The water she's found herself in is deep, and Tracy can't swim.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you this. Protect him if you want to, but I own it.
I don't understand.
Listen,
how
I'm
protecting
going to
anybody.
tell you right now, those investigators that were sitting right here, they own him. They own him. It ain't your boy told no more. That's on Carmichael and Detective Shirley's boy told from this point on. From this day forward, he ain't yours. You know?
Oh, damn. Could you imagine if somebody came to Katie with that energy? Or Mama Socks? Oh, that ain't your little baby boy now. Nope. His ass belongs to Carter and Simmons. Never came at them with this energy. And this is an officer who is showing integrity. Now, I don't know his whole record, right? I know that he got another confession out of somebody. But look, he's over here really working on this. And he knows this person, right? And he's telling her, look, I know, we all know, now start telling the truth. He's using his knowing her to his advantage, not to hers. unlike Sheriff Snuggle Struggles, in my opinion, rookie Detective Carter, possibly Simmons.
Understand?
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you, sweetheart. Let me ask you a question. You ever seen what a little young boy does when he's sitting in a chair interviewed by detectives thinking about he may spend the rest of his life in prison? They cry like little girls. I'm so sorry. Especially when I get done with my little story about the monster or feeling, like you feel bad about it. That's going to happen. It don't matter how many times you call him. And I said out there, well, she going to call him. I told him that. She going to call him. And we laugh because it don't matter. It don't matter how many times you call him. From right here in this room, it ain't going to matter.
I didn't call him.
It doesn't matter. I'm saying if you did, you called him 50 times right here. It's the same end result. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. We'll laugh. We will. It's the same end result. He's going to do the same exact thing sitting right here. Then it really don't matter if he even says anything. They own him. There's no doubt.
I just don't believe he did this.
You don't have to. And I want to believe that. I want to say there's no way Tracy knew he did this.
I don't believe he did this.
Well, then that's my point. That's the point we're trying to get at, Tracy. You don't believe he did this. Okay? You don't believe he did this. There's no point in lying about this right here then. You can tell the truth about this if you truly didn't know he did this.
Because I am telling the truth. As far as I know, I am telling the truth. I went in that neighborhood to find drugs. I had been up late. We had been up late.
Who's we?
Drinking. The tattoo guy was over there.
Who's we? Who's the tattoo guy?
Seth.
Seth who?
Arnold.
Okay.
And
Seth Arnold, and who else was there?
my son and some of my son's friends.
Let me ask you this. Was Brett there?
Yeah, he was there.
At your house that night?
Uh-huh.
What night was that?
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
Sweetheart, you're so close to being there. It's unreal. You're so close to telling the damn truth right now. It's unreal. I'm going to ask you 1,000 questions that I already know the answers to. The only thing is at the end of the day, when I walk out here and say, that girl's a damn up mama, she loves her boys, don't matter boy, toy, or what, she's a mama first. You understand? Sweetheart, you continue to fucking lie about this, and it don't fucking matter how good of a mama you are. Your kids are going to be, you know what I'm saying? It's bad. You understand? Because the people are going to look at you like you're a monster, like you're lying.
I know they are because I ain't even
sweetheart,
done anything.
we know that while you were in that neighborhood, it may have been to keep that boy from doing something stupid because you got a wind of what was fitting to go down. It may have been for this. And the truth is, I already know. But if you don't tell it, then fuck it. There's a reason why you were there that you lying about it. And it's going to get to a point, Tracy, where I'm going to say fuck it. Because I can only beg you to take this weight off your shoulders so long.
But I don't understand what.
Okay.
I didn't take him over there. He didn't ride back home with me.
So let me ask you this. When you left that morning, was he still at your house?
Yes.
Okay, when you got back, was he still at your house?
Yes.
Was he with you when you went over there?
No.
Stop! Stop!
He was not. Why would he be in the car with me?
Oh my God. I'm not saying he was in the car with you, sweetheart. I'm real good at what I do. I'm not saying he's in the car with you. He could have been right in front of you or right fucking behind you.
No, nobody was in front of me or behind me.
Sweetheart, we know why you were there.
Why was I there?
Why am I going to tell you everything?
I was there to freaking find drugs.
By who? Who would you go buy dope from?
For whoever I was supposed
What's his name?
to go to. Eric. That's all I
Who?
know. Somebody named Eric.
Eric?
Yeah, it's the third house on the right. I could have been on the wrong road.
White boy, black boy?
He's white. She said he was white. His name is Eric, and she had bought tabs from him before.
So, you could call Brandy right now and her not knowing that I'm sitting there and say, hey, tell me about that guy.
Okay, guys, and again, they keep going back to her original story and saying, we've never bought what you're saying. It doesn't make sense. Again, stop. But they're also going back and asking her again and again about this story to see, again, I think, to gauge what her next response is going to be, right? Deny, 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 or if she's going to change it a little bit. So we'll see how it unfolds.
There, and if that's the truth, on your phone, she'll go, yeah, I told you it was the third house on the left. But if she says, what the fuck are you talking about? We're going to have a problem. Are you willing to do that?
Yeah.
Call her. Put it on speakerphone right here.
Now, it depends on who's around her, because if she's at home and her husband's around her, she's not going to say yeah.
Her husband won't know what you're asking. Just say, was it the second or third house? The only reason why I let you make that phone call right there was for you to put yourself in a position where you start telling the truth, because I already know the truth. I was just going to let you embarrass yourself. Not for the fate of me getting some glory out of it, but only hoping that you would say, damn, Scott, what do I do? Let me ask you a question. Do you not trust me?
Yeah, I trust you.
To further summarize, Detective Chapman has just de-escalated the interrogation back down and retransformed himself into a person that might be able to help Tracy. Strumming chords on the heartstrings of rapport is common and highly effective in interrogations. But what makes this interrogation different is the fact that this detective has actual genuine rapport with Tracy, and that's probably the officer's most valuable asset. He continues to attempt to coast on this while affirming to Tracy that he doesn't normally get involved in cases dealing with people he knows. He wants her to think he's made a special exception just for her. This will likely lead Tracy to believe he cares about what happens to her, and this increases the chances of her divulging important information about the crime.
And I think this is, again, I couldn't agree more. This is their greatest asset, using the fact that he knows her as leverage, right, in order to get her to tell the truth, not in order to get her off of the crime or to help her cover up her mistakes. The fact that they know each other, he's using that to his advantage, not hers. Again, unlike, in my opinion, Sumner County Sheriff's Office in Sebastian Rogers' case.
Detective continues to attempt to convince Tracy that he has evidence linking both her and her boyfriend Brett to the crime. Brett as the murderer and her as the accomplice. He pleads with her to stop lying before leaving Tracy alone in the room for a third time, during which she seems to be doing something on her phone. Just before the detective re-enters the room, a curious voicemail can be heard playing from Tracy's phone. It's unclear who owns the agitated voice that left the message, but it sounds a lot like Brett Kelly's sister, Courtney Kelly. We'll get to that later. As Detective Chapman re-enters the room, he picks up exactly where he left off.
Whoops. And guys, I do want to just point out again, when it comes to Brett's sister, Tracy said that she didn't know his sister at all. I just want to point that out as well.
All right. I ain't gonna lie. They said, what is she doing? I said, lying. That's all I said. But I told them, I said, I tried to. This is the thing. Most people do come in here a lot. One, because they're scared. Okay? Most of the time, they have to be embarrassed or checked or realize that it is what it is for them to go. And most of the time, they start crying, I'm sorry I lied. I was just scared. I'm going to be honest. I told them, I said, I'm going to have to get that girl to a point where she realizes that she knows. And then she'll lie, she'll cry, and she'll say she's sorry. And it ain't no hard feelings at the end of the day. What is it going to take to get there?
I mean, I really, if I'm lying, I really
Okay, so you don't think Brett had anything to do with this?
I really don't. I don't understand how he could.
So if Brett didn't have nothing to do with it, if you don't think Brett had anything to do with this,
Tracy just stated that if she's lying, she doesn't know what she's lying about. This is an odd statement to make because there's no if you're lying when you're telling the truth. Something else I noticed is that she often seems to mirror the detective. As soon as he lifted his feet off the ground and placed them on the table, Tracy pulled both of hers up into her seat. This is the first time she's done that exact action in this interview, but you can...
Okay, and again, guys, we know who likes to mirror match the interviewer, Katie Proudfoot. Absolutely loves doing it. She's done it with accents. She's done the whole 9 yards.
Find several other instances where she mirrors him in different ways throughout the interrogation. Lancaster University researchers found that mimicry has positive results in establishing connections that build rapport, and rapport building was found to be more effective than the Reed technique. But it's important to remember that rapport can work both ways. It's not unreasonable to consider that Tracy Jones may be attempting to use the relationship she has with Detective Chapman as a means to manipulate the situation she's in, and mimicry is an effective way to do this. Another form of mimicry includes answering questions with a question, which Tracy does consistently. Either way, the detective wants Tracy to call Brett Kelly while he's sitting in the room. It's a request she doesn't have to fulfill, and likely wouldn't if she had been asked via someone she had no previous connection or history with. This is a tug-of-war with rapport, and Tracy is at the end of her rope.
And there was no reason that he would think that that he had anything to do with this, right?
Yeah.
Calling.
I mean, why would I want to call it? Why would I even want to?
Hang on, sweetheart. If you know he didn't have nothing to do with this, and he wouldn't have any reason to think that you would, then he'll answer the phone for you. We both know, one, you're not going to want to call him. Two, we both know if you do call him, he's not going to answer the phone. And then you know, without a doubt, you can't lie to me anymore.
No, he don't always answer.
Okay, well, call him. Let's try it.
All right, and again, guys, what Mr. Black pointed out earlier is that this is a game, a dance, right? This is something that the officers are engaging in with the suspect that is doing exactly what we see happening here. So they're calling each other's bluff, right? When she's calling them out as a liar, or when she's trying to lie to them, and now he's trying to call out her like, okay, well, if you're being honest, then let's call the girl that you, Brandy, that you said sent you for these pills that you were on the lookout for when you just so happened to go over to Gail Spencer's home, right? And now he's bluffing with her, and he's also putting his arms and crossing them in disdain and like tapping his foot. Hello, young lady, I'm waiting, right? Let's see if Brent's going to answer the phone. I bet you he won't. Calling her bluff, right? And she's saying, well, sometimes he doesn't answer. But then she's going to get defiant. Yes, of course he's going to answer. Again, these techniques could have absolutely been used if they were actually trying to get to the bottom of what happened to Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers.
Why, though?
Put the phone down. Let's call him. I just want to get you to that place, sweetheart.
But I don't understand what I'm lying about.
Hang on. Call him. Just so I can show that you're being honest and you're not doing anything sneaky. You mind if I look at your phone while you do it?
No, I don't care. I gotta find his number.
Did you just delete his number before I looked over?
It's in here.
All right, go to your recent calls.
I don't have any. That's why I was trying to get my son a ride home.
Baby, you deleted all your recent calls before you walked in here.
I always
Hang on.
delete my calls.
Baby, no girl does that.
Oh, look at my messages. I even delete my messages. The only messages I
Hell
keep
yeah,
are
you
ones
did.
I want.
You know why, Tracy?
Why?
Because you're lying.
No, I'm not.
Tracy, you're lying. You are lying. There's no...
So you think I'm sitting here lying and I had something to do with that?
Tracy, I think that you're scared that he may have. And you don't want to be the one to say it. Tracy, you deleted everything, baby.
All right. He's like, Tracy, you deleted everything. Okay. And again, I have to say, it reminds me a lot of what could have happened when it comes to Sebastian, right? Like K9 Joel says, he's got her, right? He's got her. Hey, can I come look? He's in her personal bubble, right? But then he's like, oh, wait, you deleted everything? Oh, gosh, hold on a second. Now, yeah, you sure as hell did delete everything. right? I wonder if they came at that same energy with Katie and the Apple Watch. I wonder if they came with that same energy when it came to Katie's Life 360 or the what do they call it? Radar detector. It wasn't a dash cam. Allegedly, it was a radar detector. It's just, interesting how we see them closing in on her. And again, the lies are big with this one.
I gotta find the number.
Did you just delete his number before I looked over?
It's in here.
All right, go to your recent calls.
I don't have any. That's why I was trying to get my son a ride home.
Baby, you deleted all your recent calls before you walked in here.
I always
Hang on.
delete my calls.
Baby, no girl does that.
Oh, look at my messages. I even delete my messages. The only messages I
Hell
keep
yeah,
are
you
ones
did.
I want.
You know why, Tracy?
Why?
Because you're lying.
No, I'm not.
Tracy, you're lying. You are lying. There's no.
So you think I'm sitting here lying and I had something to do with that?
Tracy.
And then she says, you think that I'm sitting here lying like I had something to do with that. At that point, it might have been a good question for her. Something to do with what? Something to do with what, right? Exactly. Because she's distancing herself. You think I had something to do with that? You mean the fact that Gail Spencer was found in her home unalived in a brutal fashion? Held hostage in her own home? You mean that? Let's be specific about what we're talking here, Tracy.
See, I think that you're scared that he may have, and you don't want to be the one to say it. Tracy, you deleted everything, baby.
I did delete everything, and I didn't really mean to, but I always delete.
How did you
everything.
accidentally delete everything?
Let me show you how.
I accidentally delete one thing.
No, Rox, let me show you. You hit edit and clear, and I accidentally hit clear all, and I did not mean to.
Okay, well then go to your messages, if you don't mind. Because I want to see if you accidentally deleted all of them.
No, I didn't. I delete my messages after most of my conversations. I don't with my son, and I just texted her earlier because I got to talk to her about a file at work, and I don't my daddy's. And I didn't this one just so in case I needed it.
Okay, so you've been seeing this man since March, right? When was the last time you talked to him?
Earlier today.
Earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where was he at?
I didn't ask him where he was at.
When was the last time you saw him?
Yesterday.
You saw him yesterday. Where were y'all at when y'all saw each other?
At the apartment.
At whose apartment?
Mine.
Tracy, please stop lying to me. Stop. Hang on. I need you to stop lying to me, okay? Because in a minute, I'm going to start looking at you like you're a monster.
I mean, she absolutely is a monster to carry on this way, carry on and on for an hour, right? And this is kind of condensed, right? There's a couple of parts where Mr. Black does a summary of the events, right? And kind of speeds up the process a tad. But I mean, we're getting all of the meat and potatoes here, in my opinion, right? Where she is just adamant about lying about the relationship between her and Brett. Oh, I don't even know he has a sister. When's the last time you saw him? Well, they know damn well, and so does she, that Brett lives at the house with her, at the apartment, at her apartment with her. But again, she continues to lie about this, which just implicates Brett even more.
Note the position of everything in the room at this point. If this were a game of chess, Tracy would be in checkmate. Detective Chapman has her backed into a corner between the wall and the table. He's created a barrier between himself and the door at an angle that leaves Tracy uncomfortably exposed and completely vulnerable as he sits almost toe-to-toe with her. Her arms are crossed, and she's likely in a defensive state of peak anxiety. Chapman is being about as confrontational as he can right now. He knows he's onto something that may be key in the investigation, but at this point, it's make or break, and he must not de-escalate.
Okay. Come on, baby. That's ridiculous.
Checkmate. Come on, baby. That's ridiculous. Checkmate.
You've erased everything out of your phone?
I did.
Stop, Stacey. It don't matter how many times you smile.
I didn't
Okay, listen to me. You're a pretty girl. You ain't got to do that cute little grin or whatever.
I'm not doing that.
Okay.
That smile is something I accidentally do when I get nervous or I'm upset or
Listen
anything.
to me. Look at me. You know more than ever now, I'm going to be looking at you like a monster. When you're deleting all that shit out of your phone, don't tell me it was an accident. You're lying out your ass.
Okay. I get like just lying about everything.
Okay, you're deleting all that out of your phone. Okay? I asked you to call Brady to drop of a dime. I asked you to call him. Why would I do that?
Okay, perfect example, right? Love how he says you're lying out your ass, right? You're lying out your ass. Chuchi says, Tracy, you're going to get some new bracelets. They are silver, right? And I mean, she doesn't need no passport for that. She's going to go on a long journey, but it doesn't require a passport.
I just told you the man's a suspect in a murder investigation.
And I just
hang on, unless you're a part of it. No, what you said, why do I want to bring him into all this? Sweetheart,
I don't think he's in
Sweetheart, you didn't bring him into this. I brought him into this when I talked to you. Had you said his name or did I say his name?
You did.
Okay, so you didn't bring him into nothing. So you shouldn't have any say I said call him yourself. Shit, my man ain't done nothing. Let's call him.
We'll call him.
Call him.
Calling her
I gotta
bluff.
find his number.
That's real funny, baby, that you can't find his number. And I saw you clicking on some buttons before I asked you if I could look. What's his last name? Is it going to be under his first name or his last name?
There it is, right there.
All right, let's call it. Put it right there. Put it down there where I can get it flat on the thing.
Hello?
Brett?
Hello? Yeah?
Hey.
Hi.
What you doing?
Nothing to you.
It's Tracy.
Hi.
Hey. You want me to say anything else?
All right, you want me to say anything else, right? So he's calling her bluff, right? He's like, okay, call him. You said you was going to call Brandy. You called her right away. You know, you're stalling to call your little boyfriend there. And it's sad because when you hear this 18-year-old child, in my opinion, answer the phone, right? And I know he's a man. He's a grown man at 18. However, he's smitten with this woman. And I believe that she orchestrated all of this, and then it went completely south because he is himself a monster. No doubt about it. Doesn't matter how much he boo fucking who's, he's a monster. And what he did to Gail Spencer is unimaginable. But again, you hear him bewildered answering her call, but he knows he is too far in it. And that's why he answers the call. And I think that the detective here is very smart, because what he's doing is he's pushing her to make that call to see if he's going to answer one. Once he does answer, he can listen to the tone. He can find out what the vibe is, right? What the situation is between the two of them, just based on their body language or him listening to Brett over the phone, but witnessing what her body language is in person. And again, it's this back and forth, this dance that they're doing, right, where he's calling her out on her bullshit and her bluff, right, calling her bluff and saying, okay, let's call him, right? And they get a hold of Brett, but again, he's way too far in to not answer the phone, kind of like Chris Proudfoot.
Brett.
Yes, it is.
This is Scott. How are you, bud?
Good, how are you?
Just to make sure I'm talking to the right Brett that I think I'm talking to, what's your last name, Brett?
Kelly.
Brett Kelly. Okay. All right. Brett, you in Macon?
Yes, sir.
Where you at in Macon?
Am I in Macon or do I live in Macon?
Are you in Macon?
No, sir.
Where you at, buddy?
Robbins.
One Robbins. Where you at in One Robbins?
Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake. That's some good stuff, man.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Your girl, Tracy here has been honest with me, okay? All right. I want to see if you're as honest as she has.
All right, guys, and I just want to say, you can see her body language. She's going back and forth, right? And when he says she's been honest with me, she looks back at him because she knows damn well this whole time he's called her a liar, up, down, you know, sideways. He's called her a damn liar. You're lying to me. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. Right? But then he gets Brett on the phone and he goes, Tracy's been honest with me. And she goes, huh? Amazing.
Last hour, how many times has she text messaged you?
In the last hour,
Yeah,
probably 5.
5 times. Okay. All right.
The detective telling Brett that Tracy has been honest with him is one of the smoothest moves in the entire interrogation. Tracy is helpless. There's little she can say to warn Brett that won't lead to further suspicion. Right now, she resembles a wounded gazelle unable to escape the inevitable while lying trapped in between the claws of a hungry lion. It's as if she's watching the ship she's on sink, and Tracy can't swim.
Cool. Let me ask you a question, Brett. You gonna come see me?
I can.
You know who I am, right?
No, sir.
Well, you know what I am, right?
No, sir. I'll know your name.
No, I'm saying if she's text messaged you in the last hour, you know she's down here talking to the police. I've seen the messages. She thought she was going to delete them, but I got to them a little faster than she could. So you know she's talking to the police, and I already know you know that.
Yes, sir.
All right, so you going to come see me?
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, so you can also see the officer doing some soothing techniques to himself, rubbing his arm, right? Because he's trying to keep it calm. He just went from, in Tracy's face, in her personal space, he's got her, right? To speaking to Brett, who he didn't know if he was going to answer or not. He was calling her bluff, and he did end up answering. So now he's back to diffusing the situation, saying, hey, bud, you want to come down and talk with me? Or... because again, I know more than, we're asking you these questions, but we know the answers, basically. Very smart strategy.
You gonna come? Where you going? You gonna come down here to City Hall?
Where do you want me to come to?
All right, come to the Detective Bureau, Brett. It's located at the corner of First and Popular. All right. Whether you show up or not is gonna tell me wonders, man.
Okay, well, I'll be there right now.
How long is it going to take you to get here, my friend?
About 35 minutes.
35 minutes. All right, listen now, me and Tracy, we're going to hang out until you get here, okay?
That's fine.
You're a good man. I appreciate you, brother.
No problem.
All right, bye.
It can't be overstated how well the detective just navigated through the conversation you just heard. It's apparent via Tracy's posture that she's almost given up as her boyfriend makes his way down to the police station to be interviewed.
I normally come in here and I use interview tactics and stuff like that to get people to tell the truth. I never expected to get on this road with you. I'm a little surprised.
All right, so again, he's laying it on thick. So this is where I want to stop, guys, because we are going to see Brett and how the rest of the interrogation goes on multiple sides of this, right? So I think at this point, you guys are probably a little bit more familiar. I will do some more background tonight on Gail's story, on Gail Spencer, because I think it's important for us to get to know who Gail is, because yes, we are trying to navigate who these awful people are and what they had to do with her untimely death. But again, there was some horrible things that went on and happened to Gail. And I've been putting this link for Daily Crime in here as well for you guys to kind of get familiar with her story. But we'll read more about that later tonight. Again, it's very interesting just watching the way that the officer is navigating the situation, how the suspects are navigating, and as well as how each party is, again, it's kind of a give and take in a way where she's kind of trying to tell him a story, but he's not buying it, right? And then he's calling her out. And now she is in the position where her 18-year-old boyfriend is going to be coming to the station to talk to law enforcement, and she doesn't know how well that's going to go. But again, doing this is using the other person who you think has involvement in a way of leverage against the other person. Well, Tracy's telling me the truth, so I need you to tell me the truth now. right? The same tactic could have been used in Sebastian Rogers' case. All right, Katie. Well, you're being truthful with us, right? Let's see what Chris has to say. Oh wait, Chris's story isn't matching up with Katie's, and maybe she isn't being as truthful as we thought. I can understand unconscious bias. I can understand where you might not think that a mother could actually do this to her beautiful son, Sebastian Rogers. But how will you ever know unless you fully investigate the situation? Not just take her word for it. We've seen this time and time and time again. And I am under the sneaky suspicion, in my opinion, that Katie lawyered up right away. I mean, I think she lawyered up right away, Sasha. Did she ever talk? I mean, I think she lawyered up right away, and if anything, Chris was right there. And they never separated the two. Law enforcement's not even supposed to talk to my wife without me there. Really? What law enforcement agency allows for that? Because I thought you were trying to get to the bottom of an investigation, not protect the perpetrators, not protect the suspects. But that's what we see. Sebastian's the one that needed to be protected. He's the one that deserves to be found. So again, this heavy burden, whoever is carrying, however many of you were involved, or whoever was involved, they're carrying that heavy burden. We only have to find one mistake of theirs, and there's been many. So again, we're going to go ahead and continue with this tonight on the late show. So I'll probably be on about 11:30, 11:45 tonight at the latest. So definitely come join Night Court. It will be in session, and we will go over the rest of this in a part 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it got you thinking about strategies, about how to apply some of this knowledge that we've witnessed here from these stellar detectives. In my opinion, they're doing a great job. And how we can apply that to Sebastian Rogers' case on a lower level. I mean, obviously, we're speculating here, but in the court of public opinion, I think that we need to get more of us thinking in a criminal mindset, and also in maybe seeing some of how these questions are being asked from the detectives in this interrogation. So, hey, Queen, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And you guys all have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will talk to you guys all very soon.